If you've ever stayed up to watch an 18-inning World Series baseball game, you wouldn't be me because I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have made it. But go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. We are back for another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, and it is Tuesday, October 28th, one day before the Fed decision. We had some earnings reports last night and this morning. All things looking good. Futures are green, although close to unchanged here. So things looking good ahead of the FOMC meeting tomorrow and then the Trump-Xi meeting on Thursday. So those are probably our big events here. But we got news to break down. It's a T3 Tuesday, so we're going to have some more trading ideas from the T3 guys. We're going to have some fun today, and we're going to trade this market. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Tuesday edition for October 28th, 2025, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Unfortunately, I see that the YouTube usernames are still effed and they still give me like the entire username. I don't know why it's doing that, but I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that it gets fixed here. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. I hope that you all had a wonderful sports equinox and the rest of your Monday evening. I had two parlays on last night and I missed both of them by one leg. Very, very close to having a big time payout yesterday. But we'll do it again. Got a Hawks game tonight. Zach, good morning. Welcome back. Zach is first here today, at least on my screen. Zach, early market relatable. Jane. Good morning, Zach. Good to have you here. Brian, good morning. Good morning. Hope they hurry up, Jane. It's cold here. Jane, what happened? Your heat out or something? See, I must be missing comments because I'm coming in late here. But Jane, it sounds like your heater's out. I hope that they get that fixed here. Judge, good morning. It's good to see you again. Jane, good morning. Good to see you, of course. Francis, welcome back. Let's see, who else do we have here? Solitary Soldier, good morning. Welcome back. Peter, good morning. Welcome back. Jim, good morning. EKS, good morning. Imperium, good morning. Tom, good morning. Good to see you again. Azrar, good morning. Big Bear Hug, good morning. Cam, good morning. Golden Greenhorn, good morning. ACBM, good morning. Hoot, good morning. Sun-Kissed Yogi, good morning. Dave, Big Dave, good morning. Hey, Ryan, going to bet on the NBA? No. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to bet. Michael Jordan's not walking through that door anytime soon. So I do not think I will be betting on the NBA. Truth be told, I don't really have any strategy for the NBA. At least with hockey and football, I have a strategy that I'm going after that does end up paying out. I'm actually still playing off of winnings, but with basketball, I have no strategy. So I don't do it. Nuvici, good morning. Welcome back. Translations, good morning. Neville, good morning. Producer, good morning. Just passing through, welcome back. Bernhard, Ryan, and Paulo, good morning. Lombardo Trades, I think that's Dan. Good morning. Good morning from Texas. Let's go. Yassine, good morning. JJ, good morning. Kelly, 42, good morning. Super Sam, good morning. Brandy, good to see you again. Golden Greenhorn, good morning. Nightslants, good morning. Durkus, good morning. Alvin, good morning. Kevin, good morning. AI Rod, good morning. I will say some of you have pictures for your handle that I remember, so I'm able to remember what your traditional username is. I'll be honest, a lot of these pictures are so small in Restream, I can't really see them. So unless it's something like very distinguishable, I can't tell from the picture who's who, with the exception of a couple of these, but it is what it is. I wish those pictures were bigger, or I wish there was a way where I could view the picture a little bit bigger. That way I could remember more of them. Progressive G, good morning. Hermanta, good morning. Nuvici, good morning. Chart Hustle, good morning. Marty, it's good to see you again. James, welcome back. Yes, that girl, welcome back. Waj and Rooster, welcome back. James, good morning. Another James, good morning. Alpha, good morning. Good morning, brother. Good to see you. Love Hope, good morning. I think that's Johnny, if I remember the picture correctly. Good morning. Okay, and Waj, good morning. When is the UNH call? Waj is asking. UNH conference call is in progress right now. UNH, by the way, up 4.38% here in the pre-market on the back of the beat. It's It's actually down from the 390 high from the impulse move, but still holding higher and actually looking like it's going to trade higher as well. Let's go ahead and do our stock market today. Oh, I have to have the right thing loaded up there. All right, futures in the green here today. S&P futures up 0.07%, very close to the unchanged line. Dow futures up 0.45%, and the NASDAQ futures up 0.13%. So the Dow futures leading the way higher here today. Let's take a look at some cues from last session. Sectors recording the biggest gains on Monday included information technology, communication services, and consumer discretionary, helping most S&P sectors close on a positive note. Bucking the overall market trend, however, were consumer staples and material stocks, which closed the session lower. On Monday, the benchmark indices set a new record as the U.S. trade negotiators reached a very successful framework with their Chinese counterparts. That's according to statements by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. The development came ahead of the presidential meeting between Donald Trump and President Xi Jinping on Thursday. The Federal Reserve Open Market Committee will announce its decision on interest rates on Wednesday. The 10-year Treasury bond is actually, and it's not right at 3.48, I think it's 3.98%. It dipped right under that 4%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.5%. We do have some stocks in focus here today, and the one at the top of the list is going to be UPS. I saw a number of you folks are already mentioning this here today. UPS generally looked at as a bellwether for the economy. UPS fell 0.25% in the pre-market on Tuesday as analysts expect it to report earnings of $1.31 per share. Good news is that that's in now. UPS Q3 adjusted EPS of 174, that beat the 131 estimate, and sales of 21.4 billion beat the 20.83 billion. So a top and bottom line beat there. UPS trading higher here in the pre-market. Closed at about $89 yesterday. It's currently trading at exactly at 100. It did print a high of 109 here in the pre-market. It actually looks like it's at its VWAP in the pre-market here. So UPS top and bottom line beat and trading higher here today. We'll see if that spreads throughout the rest of the market. Clearly, that's helping the Dow here this morning. United Health Group, ticker UNH, that was up by 0.0055% ahead of its earnings that were slated to be released between the opening bell. Analysts expected $281 per share on revenue of $113.06 billion. As mentioned, the conference call is ongoing, but the report is out here. Q3 adjusted EPS of $2.92 beat the $2.79 estimate, and sales of $113.161 billion beat the $113.064 billion estimate. So UNH, another one that we've been trading here quite a bit, that also beat on the top and the bottom line. That is trading higher here in the pre-market. That closed at about 365.98 yesterday, currently sitting here at 383.50 with a high print of 389.98. So UNH also higher here in the pre-market. Next stock on the list is going to be Cameco. That's ticker CCJ. They rose 9.67%, and Brookfield Asset Management, ticker BAM, advanced 3.52% after they announced a transformational partnership with the United States government to construct at least $80 billion in new Westinghouse nuclear power reactors. So CCJ trading higher here. And actually, CCJ has some pretty good rankings on our Benzinga Edge stock rankings, as well as a short, medium, and long intact trend. Next stock on our list here is going to be 3D Systems. This is ticker DDD. That gained 9.45% as its Saudi joint venture NAMI announced major milestones by securing a strategic investment from a Saudi electric company, launching a collaboration with Lockheed Martin, ticker LMT, for aerospace components, and winning a $26 million manufacturing agreement with Modern Isotope Factory. 3D Systems, ticker DDD, trading higher here in the pre-market as well. Last stock on our list of stocks in focus here today is going to be Waste Management, ticker WM, Shares dropped 2.51% following weaker than expected results in the third quarter. They reported after hours yesterday. Those numbers here, Q3 adjusted EPS of 198 misses the 202 estimate. Sales of 6.443 billion misses the 6.504 estimate. So Waste Management here still holding lower in the pre-market today, although considerably up off the lows. When this number came out, Waste Management actually sold off to 199.24, currently holding steady here this morning at 207.32. All right, let's take a look at the SPY chart because we are in breakout mode ahead of the FOMC results tomorrow and also the Trump-Xi meeting on Thursday. S&P here breaking out of the sideways range with authority, and I think these look like marching soldiers to me. In any case, SPY continues to trade higher here. We did set a new all-time high yesterday of 685.54. We're currently sitting at 685.89. So if the market opened right now, we would set yet another all-time high, albeit by only about 30 cents. We'll see if the SPY continues to trade higher here. One of the things I will say is that the group in happy hour, which came out yesterday, a lot of folks out there in happy hour. And I'll tell you what, there's a couple of folks that think 700 on the SPY coming soon here. Several people think by the end of the year is definitely possible, but some other potential trades here on a SPY move up towards 700. I'm not positioned in that. I'm kind of taking a more conservative approach here as we continue to press new all-time highs, but I'm still invested. And the only short that I have on right now is the Palantir short via the inverse ETF, and that's down, and it looks like it trades down every day as well. So still exposed here. Looks like the SPY is going to march higher. We'll see how this does here today. Definitely want to see what kind of volume it trades on today and where we close. We do have some more earnings here today. In fact, I think I slacked a little bit on the earnings calendar yesterday. Here's what we're looking at. We're going to get to PayPal. I know a lot of you folks were talking about PayPal yesterday, and that makes me extremely happy because I think there were a lot of longs in PayPal yesterday. We got news of an OpenAI partnership this morning, as well as some positive earnings. PayPal ripping higher here, $82 in the pre-market. So we'll start off with some register rings here. Grats to anyone that was trading PayPal. That one is a winner. You're going to be able to get out of that. Looking ahead to this afternoon, I almost want to say this is going to be a little bit muted in comparison with the rest of the days here. This afternoon, we get Visa, Mondelez, and EA. Those are probably your biggest ones in there. Booking is in there as well. But really on Wednesday is when it starts. We're going to get Boeing in the morning, Phillips 66 in the morning, Verizon, UBS, Banco Santander, Caterpillar, CVS, GlaxoSmithKline, Generac. Those are all stocks that we look at. Generac also a hurricane play. We currently have one hitting the Caribbean right now. And then Wednesday after hours, we're going to get Starbucks, Google, and Meta, and Microsoft, and Chipotle. So if you're looking to play stocks for earnings, today's the day. We are going to have Anne-Marie on today, so maybe we can set some earning trades up on that. But just kind of a look ahead here. It's going to continue to be a busy week. Continue to be a busy week every day. I wanted to go back to the market morning update here. I just very quickly wanted to take a look at some of the company events. It is worth noting we had a recent exclusive on COCH not long ago, if you recall. I shared how you can create that workspace. The stock ended up doing really, really well. It's come back in since then, but it has a AI and technology virtual investor conference here today, so maybe we'll see some more movement. Another stock that you folks follow quite a bit here is going to be NKLR. This is Terra Innovatum Global. They have a Bank of America nuclear virtual conference here today. That's something to keep an eye on. So as far as the company events, there are a couple here today that affect some of these stocks that we look at. We'll see if that ends up producing anything tradable here today. Next, let's take a look at some insights from analysts here. Excuse me. Professor Jeremy Siegel views the market setup heading into next week, driven primarily by robust corporate profits that are trumping tariff concerns. I like what you did there with the language. The key event will be the FOMC meeting, where Siegel expects a 25 basis point rate cut. I normally ask this every time we get close to a FOMC decision. Does anyone have any other prediction for what we might see, whether it be a surprise no cut or a 50 bips cut? Curious if any of you are on that. Me personally, I still think that this is already priced in or currently getting priced in. I think we're getting a 25 bips cut. And I really don't think there's going to be anything surprising from that. Just my own view. We'll see if that pans out. The view is supported by last week's cooler inflation print and evidence that shelter costs, nearly 40% of core CPI, are finally catching down to real world data. Siegel emphasized that fundamentals remain solid. Quote, earnings are the market's engine right now, and they're running very strong, end quote, pointing to strength and breadth beyond mega cap tech. Well, he anticipates some tariff-related price noise, end quote. He believes that this is a temporary relative price shuffle rather than a new inflation wave. The real economy also continues to look good. Despite the market's uptrend, Siegel finds that sentiment remains cautious. I would agree with that. I have a little bit of cautious optimism, I guess I would say, at the moment, but I would agree with that. He observes that positioning is still hedged and skeptical. I myself am a little bit hedged with a Palantir short here today. So I think he's spot on with that. He sees this as a healthy sign, stating that, quote, this is not a blow-off environment, end quote, and maintains his outlook that the S&P 500 can press towards and over 7,000 as profits grow. Roughly speaking, 7,000 on the S&P cash roughly equates to 700 on the SPY. I think this is where some of those calls are coming. Again, there was a little bit more of an aggressive call saying that we're going to see 700 very, very soon. But I think you're probably looking at a 700 print by the end of the year. If November keeps up its very, very strong history, or excuse me, keeps up its history of being a very, very strong month, and December does the same, I think 700 is well within sights. We might even overshoot that a little bit. Next here, story on mergers. We've been talking a little bit about this. Again, I still think investment banking might be a trade for 2026 if we're likely to see more of this. U.S. companies have struck more than $80 billion worth of deals in the span of 24 hours. In this latest sign that mergers and acquisitions are picking up after the tariff-induced cool-off earlier this year. The recent flurry of all-stock deals includes the merger of American Waterworks, that's ticker AWK, and Essential Utilities, ticker WTRG, to form a utilities giant with an enterprise value of $63 billion. Additionally, Huntington Bancshares, ticker HBAN, has agreed to a $7.4 billion takeover of mid-size Southern lender Cadence Bank. That's ticker CADE. On Sunday, Swiss drug maker Novartis, ticker NVS, announced an agreement to acquire Avidity Bioscience, ticker RNA. We talked about that one yesterday, valuing the rare disease-focused biotech at an enterprise value of $12 billion. The combined enterprise value of these three deals totals $82.4 billion. Coupled with falling interest rates, the Trump administration's favorable stance towards large deals and growing clarity on tariffs have boosted optimism among deal makers for a strong fourth quarter. The hope here, at least for a trade, is that this continues into 2026. We might be able to then trade some investment banks on the back of that. Frankly, I've already kind of missed some of this because Goldman Sachs has actually been a really good trade recently. Haven't looked at Morgan Stanley. I know Goldman Sachs put that 825 high in and really kind of bled down to the 50-day moving average. But a nice quick recapture and push. We'll see if 825 is on deck. Currently sitting at 793 right now. Morgan Stanley's had a little tougher of a time there, but it looks like a possible break through the 50-day moving average to the upside is imminent. So maybe two plays to take a look at if you want to capture more M&A deals going into 2026. Bill Anderson, senior managing director at Evercore, told the Financial Times that strategic consolidation, a favorable antitrust environment, and positive market reactions have been driving the forces of these transactions. Despite the recent surge, it's important to note that the total number of transactions this year remains lower than last year. And that's kind of my point. I think that this actually might turn around. There's a lot of positives going on right now. I know if you turn on the TV, you're going to continue to hear about negatives, but the reality is that there's a lot of positives there, and you're starting to see some more activity. The hope here is that this can actually scale into even more activity and then persist through most of 2026, if not at least half of it. Merger Monday signaled an uptick in the M&A activity is making a comeback. In an interview with Benzinga, Jay Woods, chief market strategist at Freedom Capital Markets, highlighted regional banks as a sector that could soon see a surge in M&A activity in the fourth quarter. We might actually want to ask Tim Melvin about that. In fact, let me copy this entire thing here. Might read that for him and see what he thinks about that when we have him on tomorrow. Furthermore, a report by Goldman Sachs in September identified 6 stocks across sectors with a high probability of being acquisition targets in the next year. The bank projected a 15% increase in new deals in 2026. This is what I was talking about, further supporting the current surge in M&A activity. Analysts also feel that the surge in M&A activity is expected to benefit companies like Moody Corp, ticker MCO, which reported solid third quarter results. The follow-up question that I would immediately want to ask here, do any of you have potential takeover targets in mind? Whether it's a very, very small company or a slightly larger company or any deal at all, I'd be curious if any of you folks are taking a look at potential mergers and acquisitions. I do see the FBFM news. Thank you, producer, for throwing that in there. I'm sure we'll take a look at that in the movers portion here when we bring 13 on. It's a really good spot to get started at. Easy for me to say. Okay. Next story here is going to be about Qualcomm. And again, I just want to shout out everybody that traded Qualcomm yesterday. I'm going to give you another register ring because, again, that was absolutely incredible. I did take a look, just kind of administrative note for the stream here. I'm still looking into seeing how much I can stream of the Squawk. What I'm going to do in the immediate future right now is I think I figured out a way to get it to play in my earphones, but not broadcast to the stream so I don't make anyone in the licensing department upset. But if there's a big call like there was on QCOM yesterday, I'll try and relay that to you. It might be a little bit later than what you would get normally if you were a Benzinga Pro and Squawk subscriber, but at least if we have any more big squawks like we did yesterday on QCOM, maybe we won't hit the bottom of that, but we'll be alerted to that pretty quickly. Shout out to the chat members. There were several of you yesterday that were mentioning QCOM. That ended up being the trade of the day. So, I'll keep trying to bring those to you. Remember, if you want unfiltered, fast access to the Squawk, please subscribe to Benzinga Pro. Squawk is one of the best features. In fact, it is the reason that I work here. If you really kind of boil it down, it's the reason that I work here. Squawk was the feature that had me open up a paid subscription to Benzinga when I first started this. I tried out a bunch of different news wires. It was Charlie on the Squawk that did the most amount or gave me the best possible trade setups, I guess I should say. And that's where I ended up going. Then I ended up working here. So anyway, long way of saying I'm going to try and bring you some Squawk content here. I'm going to try and go over some of the best content. We'll see if we get any other stocks that we can trade based off that. Regarding Qualcomm, though, leading analysts are divided over Qualcomm's entry into the AI chip market aimed at challenging NVIDIA's dominance in this multi-billion-dollar segment. Fund manager Gene Munster of Deepwater Asset Management said that Qualcomm's announcement is a sign that it's still early in the AI race. While speaking on CNBC's Fast Money on Monday, quote, "We need to read between the lines." Why did I say quote there? Sorry. His quote is, "We need to read between the lines." And he goes on to say that the company's chips, which are set to be launched in 2026 or 2027, signal a big opportunity in this space. He said this speaks to the supply constraints that currently persist across the AI value chain. Munster, however, acknowledged that there's no substance between Qualcomm's claims just yet. This is a press release that unlocked $20 billion in market cap. We'll see how this shakes out here. On Monday, in a post on X, TV host Jim Cramer dismissed Qualcomm's threats to NVIDIA, referring to the former as an empty-suited competitor. He said that the company's AI buzz must have briefly spooked investors in NVIDIA, saying that it shakes out NVIDIA shareholders, of course. NVIDIA shares, however, were up 2.81% on Monday and are up another 0.04% in after-hours trading. Now, this is important because this is the other angle of some of these squawk trades that I think we should be aware of. This is something that I've done a number of times over the years. If we look at an intraday 5-minute chart of NVIDIA, this is when we got that news about Qualcomm yesterday. So NVIDIA moved from about 191 down to 188.54 pretty quick here, and then very quickly bounced. So just kind of tying this back to squawk, there's something to be said when a catalyst is as good as the Qualcomm one is. That's a fairly safe way to play it, right? You're going to play it long. You're going to capture as much of the move up as possible. But there are other effects, secondary and tertiary effects that spread throughout other stocks, and NVIDIA is a really good one here. This sold off on that. But as we discussed when we were in happy hour, is this actually a competitor? Is Qualcomm actually a competitor to NVIDIA? How good are those AI 200 and 250 chips compared to NVIDIA's product? Thought process is that this is probably not going to take any market share, at least not notable market share early on. And as a result, NVIDIA ended up trading higher. This actually went higher. After this came back up, this actually ended up going higher still. So number of ways that you can play that. Here's the one for NVIDIA. Qualcomm obviously gave the biggest trade there. Daniel Newman, the CEO of the Futurum Group, was bullish on the company and its new AI chips, noting that it can win big by winning small by virtue of the sheer size and scale of this market. In a post on X, Newman said that even a 1% market share in this segment is worth billions of dollars, adding that the company can win a few percent of this massive market. The critics will chirp, but by mid next year, the deals will come and the same critics will be silenced, or at least they will be very wrong. Tell you what, there's a lot of critics out there right now that have been very wrong about a lot of the things that they say. It doesn't seem to be slowing them down at all. We'll see how this one ends up shaking out here. While he acknowledged that Qualcomm has its work cut out to prove that it can compete in the competitive AI data center space. Analysts at Bank of America remain skeptical of Qualcomm's prospects in the AI data center segment, terming its rally following the announcement a potential fade. The analyst notes that there are lower-end chips without high bandwidth memory, which are set to ship only after a year, with only one Middle East customer disclosed. So far, as reported by CNBC journalist Christina Partsenevelos in a post on X. Quote, they estimate 1 to 2 billion in revenue potential, end quote, while highlighting that the company's market capitalization just surged by 20 billion following the announcement. 13 shows up at the same time every day, Tennis. And frankly, I'm tired of you asking this, so take a break. We'll see in a little bit. Here's the tweet from Christina. If you want to go through any of this, here you go. I'll go ahead and throw that there in the chat. Qualcomm shares were up 11.09% on Monday, closing at 187.86, and they were up another 0.5% in overnight trading. We'll see if we get that Qualcomm fade starting today, or if we get a little bit more continuation through it. Tech's hottest rally. Tech's hottest rally since 2000 meets the most bullish month. I am excited about this. Technology stocks are nearing the kind of explosive rally not seen since the dot-com era, as a potent mix of Fed rate cuts, AI-driven earnings, cooling inflation, and trade optimism, sends investors piling back into the sector. And the calendar seasonality may keep the party going. We've been talking a lot about positive seasonality here, and that's actually setting up to be a tailwind for us on some of these trades. The Technology Sector Spider Fund, or the XLK, the fund widely used to gauge the performance in the U.S. tech sector, has soared more than 42% between May 1st and October 27th, marking its substantial six-month rally since September of 2020. Since bottoming out in April amid tariff fears, the fund has gained more than 70%. If it climbs just 2.5% more this week, it will mark the biggest six-month rally since March of 2000, weeks before the tech bubble bursts. After rising 1.6% Friday on cooler than expected inflation, the XLK jumped by another 1.7% yesterday, outpacing every other sector. Investors cheered constructive trade talks in Kuala Lumpur between the U.S. and Chinese officials as Washington reportedly shelved plans for 100% tariffs on Chinese goods, while Beijing reopened rare earth export discussions and resumed U.S. soybean purchases. These developments could pave the way for a face-to-face meeting between President Trump and President Xi ahead of a key November 11 deadline. Traders now fully price in the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates again this week following last Friday's mild CPI reading of 3%. A second 25 basis point cut is also fully priced in for December, bringing cumulative easing to 75 basis points since September. In a note on Monday, veteran Wall Street strategist Ed Yardeni lifted the odds of a stock market melt-up to 30% and lowered the probability of a more moderate bull case. Quote, stock investors love the Fed put his back, especially if it isn't needed, end quote. Yardeni referenced the belief that the Fed will always ease when the markets stumble. But with inflation cooling and GDP tracking near 3.9% for the third quarter, he said rate cuts are more likely to fuel asset bubbles than stimulate the labor market. In Yardeni's view, the current environment echoes the late 1990s, an era marked by strong tech earnings, easy monetary policy, and euphoric sentiment that ultimately ended in a crash. The eye-popping May to October tech rally may find a powerful ally in seasonality to keep the party going. I think all of us longs are really hoping for that. Quote, ghosts and goblins of September, October are fading away with inflation data as we head into the seasonally most wonderful time of the year, end quote. That banger of a quote comes from Paul Ciana from Bank of America, their tech analyst. Since its launch in 1999, XLK has gained an average of 2.96% in November, marking it the ETF's strongest month with a 77% winning rate. Tech has posted positive November returns every year since 2012, except for a small dip in 2018. In the last 6 Novembers, the sector has notched gains above 5% each time. Ciana added that information technology recently broke out to new highs, reinforcing its leadership. Quote, until a topping pattern forms, tech's structural leadership can continue, end quote. I'll tell you what, tech has really been the trade. There's a lot of different arms of tech. I know AI is the big one, but there are some other smaller ones like quantum that are really giving us some good trades as well. All right, folks, it's Tuesday, which means it is a T3 Tuesday. Let's go ahead and bring on our guest. I'm pleased to bring on Darren Oldensmith here today. And I actually have to click it. Okay, Derrick, I've screwed up twice there. I did, in fact, say Derrick, although it trailed off. But then I forgot to bring you on. Sorry about that, buddy. Good to see you here today. Good to have you back. Folks, trade with Derrick all next week for free in his virtual Pro Desk virtual trading floor, November 3rd through the 7th. Derrick, we seem to bring you on right before Fed meetings, which is absolutely awesome. What do you got going on right now?
So, I mean, I got a really, really strong market is what I got going on. We broke out on Friday and we continued yesterday, and we're probably set to continue today. But I'm a big believer in not chasing price. So we're in an interesting situation right now, and I caught the very end of what you were just saying on your last little segment there about the November bullish seasonality, and it's something that I 100% agree with. So it's an interesting situation because I don't want to chase price, but how can you not be a bull when the market is just completely broken out technically? Everything looks so strong, and you're about to go into the seasonal bullish period where the corporate buyback bid's about to turn on in a major way here for the month of November. And I think we could accelerate if we get above 69.25 in the SPX pretty specifically. I also think that a lot of the hedge funds are very underpositioned. So some of these earnings reports, which I always think is more important than the Fed, some of these earnings reports that come out this week are good. You're probably going to see a lot of hedge fund chasing coming in at the exact same time.
Okay. I can't wait. I'm really hoping we get a move higher here. I'll be honest. I was kind of the last couple of weeks, I was kind of watching the SPY trade sideways here. And I was like, yeah, if we don't get anything really bad, this market's going to go higher here. And it looks like that's what we're doing. All right. So what do you think is going to happen tomorrow, specifically in terms of the rate cut? Do you think it's a quarter point? Do you think we get any surprises? What do you got?
No, I think this is going to be pretty straightforward. 25 basis point cut is pretty much 100% priced in. The X factors here are the dovishness or hawkishness of Howell's message that is that's going to be coupled with what he says, and also if they're going to end the quantitative tightening that's coming from the balance sheet roll off now, or if it's going to be in December. So those are the two important things to watch out for. I'm a big believer that the day of the Fed is about trading reactions. The day after the Fed is a lot of times where you get your real moves and your potential trending moves.
Okay, that's really good stuff. That's actionable as well, and I concur with that. I think that on these actual Fed decisions, I do more kind of knee-jerk reaction trading. Some of that is fades. I wanted to ask you about two names we talked about last time when you were here in the mega cap tech here. Talked about potential weakness in Palantir and Nvidia. Since then, both of these, of course, as if anybody is surprised, has traded back up near their all-time highs. They're basically right there. Any change in sentiment on these or any new trading ideas that you have for these?
Yeah, so I would actually argue that Palantir has not been trading well. It obviously finally began to break out yesterday, and now it does look set for continuation. I think that this thing's probably, assuming that the market holds, is going to be getting above a $200. Probably have a measured move to 205, 210, something like that. But if you look at how this thing traded for the back half of September and the month of October, really up through yesterday, this has not traded well at all compared to the Nasdaq. And if you could have gotten any pullback in the market, which didn't really happen outside of one day over the course of the last 6 months or so, or at least since the April low, we've had one down day pretty much, which was that October 10th. If you ever could have gotten any sort of a down move with the market, I actually think that Palantir would have been toast. But you got to know your levels. So I kept telling the team, we're watching like this 170 to 174 on the downside, and we are watching like the 186 area on the upside. You break support, you look for the short. You break resistance, you look for the long. It doesn't matter if the stock is expensive, overvalued, isn't trading right. The levels are what matters, because this is a name that we know, even if I would argue it has not been trading like the old Palantir for the last month and a half, and that's a negative against it, that can resume very quickly. You could start seeing that option flow, the bullish option flow coming in to create the positive gamma squeeze and really push everything higher. And you see the volume come back in. This could very quickly go back to being the Palantir of old. So now it's above those levels, and you're better off being long than short. But if somehow the market's a bit extended right now, like I was saying, so we've got a technical pullback for the market, and Palantir's weak, and it loses 187. I wouldn't fight that as a bull, and you could potentially short the rebreak of that level. But like I said in the beginning, I'm a top-down type of trader. Everything starts with the index, and the index right now is so bullish, extended, so we want to chase, but everything is so bullish to me right now that I want to be looking for the longs on the pullback once we're no longer extended on the daily charts of the market.
Okay, real quick here, your mic, someone else is noticing this too. Your mic sounds a little bit muffled today. I don't know if there's something in front of it or something like that. I can still understand what you're saying, but it definitely sounds a little bit different. Real quick here, I was asking you about Palantir. Mama Bear is asking, Ryan, are you still buying PLTZ? Derrick, one of the things I've been trying to do to build a short position here is trade the inverse ETF as opposed to just shorting Palantir outright. I'm down on this position. I would say this. First of all, it does look like we're kind of at a resistance area here. If we break above, I will consider adding, but I'm not in a hurry to add. I'm still holding what I have. I have it in small size. It's not really going to be a big deal here. I am looking to add on that, but I haven't recently. If we pop and it really shows some weakness or shows like it's going to roll back over, yeah, perhaps I will take a look at adding some more. Right now, I'm just kind of managing that trade there. I haven't bought more yesterday. We'll see if we do any more here today. So, Derrick, wish me luck. If I keep short in Palantir, if you don't hear from me, at least you know what happened. That's just kind of the way I'm going at it. We'll see if we get a trade there. I did want to ask you about a couple of other setups that we talked about the last time. The last time we were on, we talked about some really extended setups in some of these storage stocks. The list I think that you gave us was WDC, which is Western Digital, STX, Seagate, and SNDK, which is SanDisk. We also mentioned Micron here. SanDisk has no chill at all. This thing is all gas, no brakes. It keeps trading up every single day. Maybe it's reversing now. Are you still stalking these for trades? What do you think on some of these?
Yeah, so I switched to a different microphone. So let me know if it's better.
It's much better. It is much better.
So SanDisk, I think, is the most notable of those charts and obviously the strongest. Actually, one of my favorite topping patterns, which is the potential that the indexes themselves actually do this at a certain point if we continue to accelerate up. One of my favorite topping patterns is when a market actually breaks an ascending channel to the upside. So you look at that SanDisk chart that you have up there.
Yep.
That was a very strong, like 45-degree angle up ascending channel. And then it actually broke that to the upside on October 23rd, just a couple of days ago. So that if you already have an uptrending stock that breaks to the upside, that is a parabolic move. That's the definition of what a parabolic move is. The only way that you can get a parabolic move in a marketplace is the greater the price, the greater the demand. And that is inherently something that becomes unsustainable. So what SanDisk started to do just a few trading sessions ago was begin to break higher in a way that actually becomes unsustainable. Mm-hmm. What I really like to look for in those moves is like into the third day. So that was really yesterday. Yesterday, you had that day 3 gap up. I know you know my good friend Scott Redler.
Oh, yeah.
This is the classic RDR trade of the upside extension on the day 3 to short it back through the previous day's high. So yesterday we had a trade basically to short this SanDisk on the open back through like 187.5 or so, the high from the day before that. And as far as a target goes on the downside, so I covered a little bit. I'm always quick to cover some to cover risk and make sure that if I'm wrong and my trade fails, that I don't lose money on it. But really the targets on this are the 8 and 21 EMA on the daily chart. So the 8 EMA would be what I call like the upper target, which is sitting at about 163. And the 21 EMA, I would call the lower band target is all the way down at 142. So when you think about that trade yesterday, you know, it's an expensive name. You're putting on a few dollars worth of risk, but the risk reward profile on that trade is excellent. Just to target number 1, you're getting about $15 worth of reward on the few dollars of risk. And that's just to the first target. And then I always like to keep a percentage of my position just in case a retracement becomes a reversal as well. So that was SanDisk. That's the one that actually broke out. And again, I actually do think that there's a likeness that you can make to the S&P just in terms of chart patterns. If we're studying chart patterns for a second, the market, if you want to pull up like a SPY chart or an SPX chart real quick, so we can just do some chart analysis. The market in a similar way has been in this 45-degree angle up channel since May. And I have a couple ways in which I measure what I call extreme extension in the market. And what I was talking to my team about yesterday is the most incredible thing to me about this bull run has been that it feels like we're positive every single day. It feels
Yeah,
like
it
we're
does.
green every single day.
It does.
Yet, in terms of my measure of upside extension, yesterday was the first time that we hit what I call more extreme upside extension for the market since July 3rd. July 3rd was the first time. So it's like we're up every single day, but we haven't seen extreme upside extension in 4 months. That's very unusual. So right now I'm trying to counterbalance a couple things in my head. I'm a big believer in seasonality and understanding flow of funds, that the corporate buyback bid's about to turn on in November and the November strength. But at the same time, I'm looking at the beginnings of a similar pattern to what we just saw with SanDisk, which I think becomes an unsustainable move. The question is, how far parabolic do we go before a real pullback comes into play? So it's an interesting scenario, and it's why I don't believe in chasing price. If you could just get the market to just start actually going sideways here, or actually give a little bit of a technical pullback higher low, I think that would be the most bullish situation. If we just continue to rip higher this week, I actually think that becomes an unsustainable move that might actually lead to some sort of a blow off top in the market, despite the November seasonality. So it's just a really cool pattern that we're able to take from SanDisk and apply to the market. And it's something I'm really paying attention to right now.
If we get a pullback, if like get that blow off scenario that you just outlined, do you think that it's short lived, or do you think that maybe lasts into the end of 2025?
So I don't want to give the boring answer of I don't know and I have to study it as it happens, but it's the truthful answer. I'm a big believer in not predicting reversals. What I do is I predict retracements, and then I have rules in place by which a retracement can become a reversal so that I can maximize on that. But I have to see how the retracement lower plays out, how the pattern plays out. Does the retracement pattern, that the pullback, give way to a reversal pattern where then you get a lower high? Like, typically markets don't just go 100% straight up and 100% straight down all the time, right? If you're going to get a blow off top, you're going to get a pullback, you're going to get a bounce. Is the bounce a lower high that I can then short of to look for a reversal because it's building out a reversal pattern? Or is the bounce immediately getting me right back to a new all-time high, in which case, the trend is strong, we satisfy the upside extension, and the trend can continue with the bullish seasonality.
Okay. All right. We'll see what we end up getting here. Do you have anything else that you're looking at that maybe I didn't ask you about? Anything new on your list? Maybe I shouldn't even ask. Are you messing around with quantum at all? Anything else that you want to cover here?
The quantum short, so it's trickier here, but just because you brought it up, the quantum short came in for me on October 16th, and we pounded it on the way down, right? We're watching this go up. We're watching this go up. People are freaking out. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm still actually pushing for lower prices even here. But I want to make sure everyone is aware I'm completely playing with the house's money at this point.
Yeah.
So yesterday I started to really reestablish an RGTI short. And you can see, it's starting to build out a little bit of a wedge. A similar but different pattern that we recently focused on is if you look at some of the rare earth stocks, if you look at UAMY, as an example, that there's a whole bunch we could have a look at. This UAMY is a similar but different pattern where you had the parabolic move, you had the technical pullback, you had the wedge build out. Now, technically that's a bull wedge, but my feeling is when you're dealing with these like pre-revenue companies that are trading at obscene valuations after a parabolic move, it's at least a 50-50 on which way that pattern actually breaks. Could easily break down to come back to reality with its fundamentals, or it could break up because it actually is truly a bull pattern. And you just trade the direction in which it breaks. Though for me personally, sometimes I'll front run. I'm expecting it to break in this direction, so I'll front run the break. And if I'm wrong, I'll just stop myself out. So like this UAMY, I was shorting in the wedge. And all right, if it breaks back above 14, I'll stop myself out. It's a bull wedge that's breaking higher. I'm not going to fight this thing. But if it breaks down, awesome. I'm going to continue to get paid on a completely overvalued stock. And obviously got a little bit lucky yesterday with the news. China, United States hit the rare earth stocks down. But it's the exact same chart that RGTI is kind of building out now. If you go back to that, this is also starting to build out a wedge here. And I'm doing the exact same thing that I was doing with the UAMY with the RGTI. which is I got fully out of my short position on by October 22nd. I actually flipped long for a day trade on October 22nd, just because as much as I'm not a believer in this stock, the stock had just pulled back from 58 to 35 in 6 days. I'm like, all right, I think I can get a little bounce back in this thing, even if I don't believe in it. And now it's bounced back. It's building out that wedge. And I'm doing the exact same thing that I did with the UAMY. I'm putting the position on. If this thing gets above 45 or so, I'll probably be stopping myself out of it because it's breaking that bull wedge to the upside. But if I can get another leg down here, I'm just going to continue to feed on the P&L that I already got from the break lower of the parabolic move. So I currently have a short position on in RGTI, and I currently have a short position on in QBTS. QBTS currently isn't building out that pattern, but I do like the little topping tail. I think if you're short this, you kind of have to give it to 40 until it builds out the pattern a little bit more, which, again, I'm playing with the house's money here, so I don't mind giving it that breathing room.
Okay, Derrick, that is really, really good stuff. Trade with Derrick all next week for free by scanning the QR code that you see on your screen in his virtual Pro Desk. I keep reading that wrong. And his Pro Desk virtual trading floor, November 3rd through 7th. Really, really great plan here. Just a couple things here. Number one of the things that we've been watching on RGTI, its inability to really get back above this 20 kind of leads us to believe that we might have a breakdown here. I went ahead and just kind of eyeballed the triangle on here. We'll see if we end up getting that. The other thing that I wanted to clear up with you, so you're actually short RGTI. You don't have downside exposure via some other instrument or options. You're just short the actual stock itself.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Awesome. Really great setup there. Thanks for covering quantum. I offer it again. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about that I didn't lead you into?
No, I think we covered it at this point. It's a great market right now, just in terms of all the movement that we're getting, a two-way market, especially with all these meme stocks. There's a lot of money to be made in them, and now we're in earnings season too. So guys just have to make sure they're getting up bright and early and tuning into your show to do their research and getting out there to take advantage of it.
Okay, I do have one thing that I want to ask you about here, and if you have no opinion on it, that's fine. But I did want to ask you about Lulu, mostly because you are saying that you're a big believer in seasonality. I'll tell you what, man. Lulu, just really quick, Lulu has been in a downtrend here. I have it outlined by the parallel channel. It really came into a very, very significant support area that I outlined by the purple rectangle here. It literally bounced off the top of that area and produced what looks like a double bottom here. It continued to trade sideways. And my thought here was, man, as long as it holds this area, maybe this 160 to 165 area, if it can do that until the end of October, we have really, really strong seasonality going pretty much all the way through the Christmas holiday. And so my thought was this actually might be a pretty decent setup. Well, yesterday we got news that they're partnering with the NFL. It actually tried to trade into a gap for a little bit, rolled back over. Yesterday we got news that they partnered with the NFL. I guess you're going to be able to get your NFL team on your leggings or leggings for some significant other. I don't really know how it's going to work, but that was what we got yesterday. It ended up popping the stock huge in the morning, but it really kind of bled back here. I'm viewing this as a gift. It's down here at about 180. What do you think of Lululemon's chart going into the holiday season here on the back of that seasonality?
Sure. So one of my favorite patterns is when you get a base, like the base that you're describing off the 160, and then it makes like a bullish consolidation in front of the resistance. So if you look at like October 21st through October 24th, pretty much up until yesterday, it's building out that bullish consolidation in front of the resistance of the base. A lot of the times that sets up for a break higher. So I actually called this one out to my team on our watch list for a long yesterday. I was pretty disappointed with how it actually traded. I don't know how significant that news is. Honestly, when I think about that news, I don't think it really matters at all for the stock. But just technically speaking, I really liked the pattern into it. So a little bit disappointed with how it traded. I don't like the fact that it closed on lows, but I certainly have it on my watch list still. And if it can continue to hold that 180, I do like it as a long to see if this can work its way back into the low 200s.
Okay. Absolutely fantastic. Derrick, thank you so much. Folks, trade with Derrick for free next week in his Pro Desk virtual trading floor, November 3rd through 7th. QR code is on the screen. Link is in the description. Derrick, really good stuff. Again, you seem to to come by at really timely spots. I look forward to catching up with you either after Thanksgiving or around Thanksgiving before that Christmas holiday.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate you having me on. I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Always take care of yourself. That is Derrick Oldensmith from T3. Those folks are awesome. Those folks are awesome. Let me go ahead and bring 13 on now. Derrick's departure leaves room for 13. 13, good morning. How you doing, boss?
Good morning. Just fine. We have a mover that's going right now. So I've been waiting to get on here with you guys to talk about it. VC is taking off. VSEE.
You know what? Let's just not waste any time and let's get to it. I don't think we can. 13's had his coffee here today. We are ready to go. VC's at the top of the list. I'm going to be brief. VC Health shares are trading higher after the company received U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Authority to operate the FedRAMP high level. Stock is ripping here on volume, up 121%. Quick peek at the short interest, 0.12%. By the way, we did get our float reading here recently. 0.12% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. It comes on an average 100-day volume of 5.21 million shares. Today, it's traded 56 million, float 7.87. 13, what do you got for us?
Well, we got this taken off as it was itching to get on the show. Floats 7.8 million. You have a company that is still burning through some cash. It loses about $2.5 million. It's down significantly from past quarters, but still isn't profitable. Does have some revenue. It's going to need to raise some capital at some point here. I don't think it's had earnings recently. No, it has. It had it on October 15th. So those are out of the way. So anything that has been, if there's any capital that's been raised since then, I'm not seeing it. So I think that they're going to have to do that at some point here soon. As far as levels go, this thing is approaching it may have just hit the 200 EMA on the daily chart.
I've got the 200 EMA at 151 and the high print of 148. So by my charting here, it looks like it's off by 3 cents.
Mine's 148.5.
So you got it. It touched it. Let's go.
It got it. So right there, that's going to be one area of resistance. There are some directly above it. Looks like 160, 165 could be another one. You also have looks like $2 even. So those would be the next two levels I would put some resistance weight into. 160, 165, and then $2. Okay. We'll see if we continue with more of this. We might get a pullback before that because it's starting to exhaust itself a little bit. But as long as we hold above, let's see here.
I've got VWAP at 109. Frankly, I'd like to hold that 109 on a pullback.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think you're right about that. So if we, and it might take like 15, 20 minutes for the stock to come down. But yeah, I agree. As long as we hold that VWAP, we should be able to turn around and see some higher prints.
Okay. Good stuff.
Now that that's out of the way, good morning, everybody. It's so wonderful to see all your lovely faces.
there we go. At least we got the good morning from 13. At least he's doing well here. Yeah. All right, let's keep moving here. VC is in the books. Next, we're going to have FRGT. This is one that we have traded a whole bunch of times in the past. This is Freight Technologies. Can't wait to see if we have any previous levels from this one. This stock was about $1.20 when it closed yesterday. We traded higher in the after hours, higher again here today, but we traded up towards the VWAP, got rejected, and we've basically settled where we were trading sideways in the after hours. So looks all right here, not really breaking down. Maybe we get supported by the 200 EMA. Currently have that at 168. Reported yesterday, Freight Technologies enhances and expands Fleet Rocket to improve visibility, automation, and intelligence across the logistics chain. That's the news that's driving this higher by 48%. 2.92% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average 100-day volume of 1.146 million shares. Today, we've traded 56 million shares. The float here, a very, very meager 2.7 million. It's pretty much right in our wheelhouse. 13, what do you think of this for FRGT?
So the news you have, that's from yesterday, and that was early in the morning. I don't necessarily believe that that's what's causing this to go right now. I think it's UPS's earnings that is causing this to go. So it caused FedEx to move 4% off of UPS's earnings. I think Freight Technologies is also moving with that. It's more.
Well, that's strange. UPS reported this morning. This started moving yesterday, but nonetheless, that's still a really good relation to mention here, and it did pop again this morning. So there's maybe something to that.
It's because all the news that we have here came from yesterday morning. So if it wasn't, and everything that happened with this was all in the after hours. But anyway, as far as the this is also kind of in that that tracking theme that we've been talking about too, the verification and identity. So keep that in mind for when that theme starts to play out. But this company does have a little cash in the bank. It's slightly profitable, but it could raise just because it's got so little money to work with, and it's it's not necessarily losing it, but it's kind of almost break even. So it could raise some capital, and it has 2.7 million shares in the float. So there's some potential for share dilution there. But as far as the chart looks today, we did go up to a previous level that we've had as resistance and support for. That's 280. 278 was actually the high print in the pre-market, but couldn't quite get up there. If we manage to turn around, which I'm not confident we're going to be doing that yet, 280 and 320 are the biggest upside levels that I have from here. We would have to get back above the 65 EMA, VWAP, and a trend line in order to get in that direction. So for now, let's just see what happens down around 170, where the 200 EMA is.
Okay. Works for me. Good setup there. Next on the list here is going to be YMAT. This is J-Star Holdings. Is this one of those?
This is doing nothing. It popped and then it just came right back down.
Carbon fiber for a wide variety of products, including carbon bicycles, carbon rackets, automotive parts, outdoor sports gears, and healthcare products. I've never heard of this company, and I've looked at plenty of carbon-based car parts for different things here. Let's see. What did we have? Yesterday, we had news again. This wasn't yesterday. Excuse me. This was an entire week ago. So this is moving on no news here.
Moving on nothing.
Yeah, this was a penny stock yesterday. It's into dollar territory today. Basically no short interest on this. You're right, man. There is a lot of...
It's pumping up.
I'm having a tough time today. Yeah, this looks like there's really nothing going on here. I'd be very, very careful with this. I suppose you could watch to see if there was volume flow in this, maybe a move above the VWAP. But
look at VC. Look at VC.
Another move higher here, up to 403 is actually the high print that I have. Volume is actually still expanding. I guess we'll see what happens with this candle.
Man, oh man. So yeah, I guess you kind of see why I was excited to get on top of that one. Because this thing is just absolutely running. Now, okay, let's see where what levels I have next, because I think it already blasted right through the ones I gave.
Man, this already came in $1.30 from that $4 high.
Oh.
Hey, trader, I'll be honest with you, man. This comment is so relatable. So glad I set a sell order for 169 on VC. Look, sometimes that's just how it goes, brother. I've been there plenty of times on some of these. I can totally relate. The eye roll, I think it's the most relatable part of that entire post. We'll see if we get another setup here on VC. Where would you like this to settle now, 13? I know we talked about the VWAP before. This thing is twice its VWAP. VWAP, I've got 149. Stock's 273 right now. Where would you like to see this settle?
Well, first, I do have some older levels here that we're going to probably end up having come into play. But before that, let's see what happens around 440, 450. But the levels that I have marked off here, 615, 725, 875, and 1075.
Oh no!
I don't know that it's necessarily going to go to those, but these are levels that I've had marked off from the last time that we were, we're trading this. So we'll see if it even gets up there. But let's take a look at the smaller time frame to see where.
Really quickly, Bernhard, bang! There you go for your register ring. Out VC 236. You had to be in much lower than that. Really good stuff. What did you have, 13? Sorry.
No, just looking at where we kind of got support. That looked like it was about 170, 175. So that's where this current candle was getting support before it ripped higher. $4 appears to be the current resistance. I think it's still the same situation. be looking at VWAP for support. Wouldn't like to see the price come back down here, given the run that's just had. But all I can look forward to right now is just the upside targets, because if this thing's going to come back in, it's not going to be pretty.
Okay. All right. And then seeing some more, man, I'll tell you what, this is turning out to be a busy morning here, 13. We have another mover here, but it's not a traditional mover stock. It's actually Microsoft, and it is absolutely ripping here. Microsoft up 4.6% on the back of some brand new news here, apparently. Where was this? Is there any news on Microsoft? I can't see any. I don't see it either. Producer, what happened here with Microsoft?
Not earnings. Earnings are tomorrow.
One of the chatters here saying there's a deal with OpenAI. Let me see if
$250 billion of Azure SVC.
Yep. Microsoft. Here's another commercial for the squawk here. Microsoft shares spiking here. Microsoft signing a new agreement with OpenAI. Up 22 points. Wow. This is from Microsoft. Microsoft said OpenAI contracted to buy incremental data centers, I guess, $255 billion. Wow. So that news just crossing the wire. Squawk's already got it out. Looks like the news feed is still printing it up here. Big move here in Microsoft, up 4.3%. You're a long-term holder in Microsoft. What do you think on this?
Oh, I'm over the moon. But it's funny because this is just the same money getting moved around again.
It's the whole circular thing. But we've heard the demand is really good.
Yeah. So, but no, this is fantastic. I was talking about this stock going to 600 by sometime next year. Maybe we get it before then with this kind of stuff, with these kind of deals. But this is going to be 600 at some point.
Okay. Real good stuff here. That's what's going on with Microsoft. I would imagine, are some of the other stocks moving with this? NVIDIA. What else?
AMD maybe.
Here's Meta. That's moving lower. Here's AMD. AMD kind of flat here. All right. Well, big news there for Microsoft. AI related. We'll see if it holds that pop. 557.5 is the impulse high that I got there in the pre-market. It's worth noting 555.45 is the all-time high that I have. So we ended up taking that out. Google, that was the one that I was thinking of. Thank you, Suprick. Thank you. Here's Google. This is selling off. I'll say I'm interested in this. If Google can carve out a near-term bottom, I'd be interested in taking a look at that. I think Google buy on weakness makes a lot of sense. I know we've got earnings here, so factor that into your trading plan. But okay, really good stuff there with Microsoft. Did you have anything else on your list, or should I just keep moving through these?
You can move through them, but the other news that we had with there was ChatGPT news was PayPal.
Yeah.
You probably already covered that though, right?
We actually didn't have a story for it. I did mention it briefly here, but we can cover it and actually give some levels. That's something that we haven't done here. I did want to congratulate everybody because I know that there were a bunch of people talking about taking PayPal for earnings. They had earnings too, by the way. So if you traded PayPal here, congrats. I guess if you traded options, you can't close that yet. So sorry about the preemptive register ring, but nonetheless, you're in the catbird seat. PayPal shares are trading higher after announcing a deal with OpenAI to become the first wallet for ChatGPT. So now things that you see on ChatGPT, you can buy instantly with PayPal. It also released better than expected Q3 financial results and raised its EPS outlook.
And it's a value stock now. It pays a dividend.
Ooh.
14 cents.
Ooh, I didn't even hit that. That's great news.
They approved the initiation of a quarterly cash dividend of 14 cents a share. That's 8/24 news. There you go.
Oh man. This is really good. Here's your I'm sorry, I'm reading through all of the other news here. This seems like a really good report for PayPal. Let me go to the main chart here for PayPal because we've done some charting on this. I was talking about 75 being a pretty key level for this to break. Let's take a look and see where we're at. I know we're sitting at about 76.5 here. So this actually pretty good. Here's what the PayPal chart looks like. Big move here, basically right up to a resistance area. This resistance clears out at about 80. I think we talked about 75 and 80 being the next level here. It does look like we've pretty much filled this gap. At least we did that in the pre-market session. We'll see what happens when the regular session ends. I've got 75 and 80 as the next spots. And then after that, I have a gap that starts at about 82.5 and fills up at about 86.5. So there's some more upside targets here on PayPal. All this news sounds good. Congrats to anyone that was in this. 13, you got anything here on PayPal you want to take a look at?
Well, the only thing that I'm really noticing is it seems like every time that PayPal tries to get over its 200-day SMA to the upside, it does it by way of gap up. That's like the last 3 times that it's gone over this thing to the upside, it's been a gap up. Now, the first one wasn't really that big. It was back in July of this year. And then we gapped down beneath it. But then come October, we gapped up at the beginning. We knifed through it days later. And now here we are gapping up through it again. So just something that's interesting here with PayPal and the 200-day SMA. It seems like if it's when it comes to the 200-day SMA, big moves only. Big moves only. Gap up when we're trading to the upside, and knife right through it, broadsword even when we're trading down through it.
Okay, that 200-day, by the way, is at 71.57. Suzanne here saying support on PayPal is 72, resistance is at 82. Suzanne, those levels look spot on to me. I think I just kind of rounded it off at about 80, but 82 makes sense here. And frankly, to your point about the stock popping over the 200-day, would love to have this really kind of hold above the 200-day. I would amend that a little bit more. I want this to hold above 75 today. 75. I think if you back test 75 here today, you're actually good to go for a potential long side swing on that if you missed buying this ahead of the earnings print.
Yeah, 75, I think, is what needs to hold up. I'm not sure that we get a visit back down and gap fill, down to the 200-day SMA. That I don't think that would be great. I think 75 is the level that needs to hold.
I would agree.
Keep an eye on VC because I think we're finding some support here for it to make its next move up. So just keep an eye on it.
I'll go back to that here in a sec. It does look like 76 has provided some pre-market support for PayPal on a little bit of a back move there off the impulse. So we'll see here. PayPal looking pretty good. All right, let's go back to the movers tool here. We'll start with a quick peek at VC. This is coming back in a little bit. What was the spot that you wanted this to hold again? I'm sorry.
I did like the VWAP, but if it holds here, which is a pretty good spot, like 215, 220, this looks like a really good spot for it to find some support so it can make its next move up. It's probably going to need more than just these 2 red candles here. I think a third 5-minute candle is probably going to end up having to happen, but this looks like this is where it's trying to get that support right about here, that 215 to 220 area.
Okay. All right, we'll see if we do that. And look at that. Looking like it's holding it so far.
Right. Yeah. I think there might be one more candle we need to see, but this looks like this could be the support area that we're, for its next leg.
Okay. All right. We will see there on VC. Also, what was going on while we were talking about that IPDN, professional diversity, this did pop up to, it looks like 489-ish. This is coming back in, still holding higher here by 18%. Let's see if there was any news on this. IPDN, indeed there was. Professional Diversity Network enters a strategic collaboration with the, oh my God, for a sec I thought that said mafia-based. It actually says Malta-based fintech QBSG, limited to explore the development of a global real-world asset exchange. Okay, I'm really glad it didn't PR that they were working with the mafia. That would have been something.
Mafia-based fintech, what would that look like?
Man, I don't know. I don't know. In any case, IPDN, this is actually getting some action here. I think one of the things that we'll take a look at, we'll see if it moves back up towards that high. Does look like this is trying to recapture and hold the VWAP. We'll see if it ends up getting that. And then, also, by the way, if you're looking for a levered vehicle on PayPal here, PYPG. is your leverage shares 2x long ETF. Producer, you gotta love it.
It is real.
You gotta love it. Okay.
Sorry, I'm just taking a look at IPDN to see if there were any interesting levels. I mean, I don't know how high this thing's going to go, but there's the 500-day SMA that's at 818. That would be a 2x from here almost. So don't know if we're going to get that high, but $5 looks like a pretty tough resistance spot. I think I'd be keeping an eye on that next.
And Izzy screaming about a warning by the CFO for PayPal. What are you referring to here? Am I missing it? Is it in the news here?
Well, let's see.
PayPal sees spending decelerate in the U.S. Izzy, I'm sorry, man. I don't know what you're referring to. You can type it out, and please don't use caps. Please don't use all caps. Okay. Anything else you wanted to take a look at?
Whatever the chat wants to look at.
They're talking about mafia-based things, it looks like. Okay. We could take a look at, are we done with the movers here? Maybe I should run through a couple of these. Relly, I feel like we've traded this one before.
Brian would like to look at CoreWeave.
Okay, we can take a look at CoreWeave here. Let me just make sure there's nothing else on the movers list.
Okay.
Lung got a price target hike from 4 to 8. Stock is currently 187. This popped in the after hours. CCJ also had some news here. Kamiko, we talked about this in the stocks to focus on. Kamiko shares are trading higher after the company partnered with Brookfield and the U.S. government to build new Westinghouse nuclear reactors. We have over 100 now in the pre-market here, 102 currently on CCJ. I know we were talking about this one when it was 50. Nice little double from there. Do the register ring on that one. Okay, you want to take a look at CoreWeave. Okay, so real quick here, conference call. I see, Izzy. Thank you. That's the part that I lost. On the conference call, the CFO said consumer spending was slowing. That's what we just saw there in the news feed, right? That's why I didn't draw a line between those two things. Yeah, PayPal seeing spending decelerate in the U.S., but that wasn't it wasn't marked as the CFO. So, okay, we kind of already knew that. I don't really think that's new news. The luxury customer is still spending hand over fist. Everyone else seems to be tightening up a little bit.
UPS is an indicator of economic strength in the U.S.
Yep.
That did really well. So I would say that, even with slowing spending, we still have some pretty good economic strength for, on our hands.
UPS actually holding here just shy of 100. We'll see if we can cross over that 100 again. Here's IPDN. This did come back into the VWAP and is bouncing here. Nice. IPDN giving you a good 40 cents from this VWAP bounce.
Nice. And, Wes, I think, it's VC news probably is a nothing burger, but you know what? It's moving. It's moving. So we're going to capture that movement.
Okay. All right. You wanted to take a look at CoreWeave, CRWV?
Oh, yeah, we could look at CoreWeave. Jay Rice also mentioning Wayfair.
Every style, every home.
Mm-hmm. We can look at that as well. But so CoreWeave, CRWV.
All right, let me go to my bigger chart here. We'll start with CoreWeave.
This is just a request from the chat. Looks like we did get a close over the 20-day SMA for the first time in a week. So as long as we hold above that 20-day SMA, 140 appears to be the resistance level to get over. We do have some, price action earlier this month over 140, but not very many closes, just a few, and they were kind of neutral candles too. But 140, I would say, is where the next big area is. Maybe as high as 148, but I still like the 140 level as being the big resistance area that we need to start closing over.
All right, I think we have a new trend line here that we would need to get over. First of all, I'm going to start by saying, 13, you made a top call on CoreWeave here on June 4th of 2025. I'll be honest with you, that call was pretty good. I know the next day we ended, well, was that even the next day? June 4th?
June 4th.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
breakout was on the 17th. So 2 weeks, I was right.
Yeah. So about a week later, it invalidated your price, but it basically didn't even hold there for a week, and then it's rolled over. This is still a really good top call. They're never going to be perfect, but this one's actionable. The other thing we have here now is a new trend line that we want to see if we can get over. This does really seem to be holding 120. That seems to be a really key level for this, and it seems to have carved out that support here. We are above the 20-day.
Right.
So that's looking pretty good. I would say I would have the next trend line here, 147.25. What area did you have as what number did you just give?
So I was saying 140, but I could see, the price getting up to as high as 148. But I think I was just really on 140 as the big resistance level to start closing over. We're over, the 20-day, as you mentioned. We had one close above it yesterday. I want to see a couple more closes above it, but also I'd want to see the price start to close above 140 as well. So that's the next big thing. VC might start to make that move that we've been waiting for here. Let's watch for some volume expansion in VC.
Okay, so it's still holding this 225-ish level. 220, 225 seems to be the level that we want that to hold.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
It's getting through this seller right now, but as far as core weave goes, that's the price action that I think would be ideal.
I actually have 148.5 as that trend line top. So if this does trade up here, we'll see if that 148 really comes into play. Just kind of estimating this by putting my cursor there. Yeah, 148.5. Pretty good. Pretty good stuff there on CoreWeave.
I like it.
Okay, we can go back to the movers tool here. It looks like we're going to keep coming back to this anyway.
I think we were also getting requests for some other tickers like Lumen, SoFi, SMCI, things of that nature.
Skyworks and Qorvo combined to create 22 billion US-based lender in high-performance RF, analog, and mixed signal solutions.
Skyworks, huh?
Yeah, that's ticker SWKS. That's up by 14.5% here. QRVO up by 11.8% here. So there's a merger here between Skyworks and Qorvo.
Interesting. So that resulted in a bit of a gap fill for Skyworks. It had a gap from February of this year that didn't quite get filled in September, but it's past that fill point now. There's also the 500-day SMA right above where the price is at 88.75. So that might be a big resistance area for the day. I don't know what's going to happen after the open. I would think support's going to be down around 83.50 if it comes in, but resistance is going to be that 50-day SMA in my opinion. I'm sorry, that 500-day SMA.
Okay. Jay Harris saying, do you think Microsoft puts will work? Brian says fading big tech in this market is gutsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might, but you'd have to be very, very, on top of it,
Yeah. So this is what I'll say. I don't want to poo-poo that idea at all. And the reason is because you guys watched Bharat end up, I think it was it Qualcomm? Or was it no, what Qualcomm was yesterday? It might have been Oracle, right? Wasn't it Oracle, Bharat? I don't know if Bharat's here. Bharat, wasn't it Oracle that one day it had a huge move higher and you ended up shorting the pop and it was just an amazing trade because it did actually fade from the high? You'll have to remember, I'm trying to remember your trade. I might be getting it mixed up here. I said all that to say, yeah, this can work. But like 13 just said, I think you'd have to be on top of that. The way I would play that, extremely, extremely tight stops. This is good news here. I understand Microsoft has traded up, 4%. That's a big move for a company of this size, but don't think it can't go higher in your face. So if you're going to do that, be careful. Do it with some tight stops. Bharat says, yes, it's Oracle. So Bharat, what do you think? You think this Microsoft impulse move higher here is a shortable move? You'll have to let me know. And then Oklo was the other one that Barat nailed. This one, this a little bit better, I think. I feel like these make some outsized moves. I kind of have a thought that this is overvalued as it is. So that a little bit different from Microsoft, but that's a really good mention because he crushed it on this one too.
Look at the daily for Oklo. If this doesn't get back above the 20-day SMA and 145, I think this is going to get pretty ugly.
Okay, I think right in here. I think you might be right about that.
You see that formation that we're starting to get here?
Yeah, it almost looks like a head and shoulders here.
Yeah. So I think that's what I'd be looking for here. We need to see the price. If you want to invalidate this and make this, if this wants to start looking good again, we need to get above that 20-day SMA. We need to start trading above 145. Otherwise, I think we're coming down to the 50-day SMA and probably end up losing it.
Okay, real good stuff here. Barat saying Microsoft was consolidating for a long time, so I'm not shorting this move. So that's really helpful there. Barat basically saying here that his shorts are off of the impulse move. When the stock is given time to consolidate, it takes that setup away. Barat, that's really good stuff. Really good stuff. Okay. We got 5 minutes till we open here. Let me flip over to the main workspace. We'll view some charts from this workspace. Let's see. Let's take a look at some of the movers that we have here. VC still trading on higher than average volume. It did hold that 225 area, so that's pretty good. I've got the VWAP and the 15 EMA at 182.
Hasn't quite gotten going yet. Maybe we get that in 5 minutes when the market opens. Jay was mentioning Wayfair, and this is I think this is at all-time highs now. 98.50, big short squeeze print there. 26.5 of the float is shorted. 5.9 days to cover. Major short squeeze here off of their earnings beat.
Okay.
And we were also getting asked about ASST. This was
let me pull that up.
A mover from yesterday, I think it was.
Yep. Strive.
Yeah.
Look at this. This did end up going. I think you were talking about this maybe going in the afternoon. Look, it did, and it stopped right at 180, which was right near that pre-market impulse high.
Yeah. So let me go back here to a daily chart. All right. So it is currently trading. So we closed above the 20-day SMA yesterday, but we're trading below it now. We'll need to see that get recaptured. Otherwise, we run the risk of a potential gap fill to the downside. There's also the 500-day SMA that's in the way that prevented the price from going much higher. And there's a bit of a trend line that I also have drawn here for some reason. Might have been from a while ago. That trend line I started with the highs from May and July of this year, and just extended that trend line to where we're at today. That's going to give it a value of about, what is this, about 207, 206. So
I must be.
Yeah, those two. The one from May and July.
This is the one from May 27th. This is the one from September. Here's the one from July. Bang.
Yeah. So draw through that, extend it down to where there we go. So that's the another trend line to watch for. I don't like the way that the 50-day SMA is coming down towards the 200. That means that unless we recapture those SMAs, we're going to get a death cross at some point soon. But as long as we can get back above that 20-day SMA and hold above it, then there might be some hope for this. But lots of resistance to the upside with this one.
Okay. Izzy here saying RR should be on conference with NVIDIA today. We talked about that recently when we were taking a look at Rich Tech. Said that they had a conference coming up here. That's today. Thank you, Izzy. We'll see if we get more news out of that. I don't have anything here, but you're right about that. We'll see if we get more about that. Oh, and you know what? I am going to try and play the squawk here today. Now that we're done with the news segment. Let me know if you end up here. I think I figured out how to do this here. So let me know if you do end up hearing the squawk through the broadcast here today.
And we're getting a mention here that Data Vault is taking off.
EVLT.
It's up.
You guys hear
10%.
this?
I don't hear anything.
Okay, you did not hear Charlie just.
No. Nope.
Perfect.
No, I did not. Amazon is going up. Still waiting for. Okay. Oh, we have less than a minute before we open. Getting asked about some other stocks here. Lyft is another one. We're not going to have a whole lot of time to look at some of these other names. We have the market opening in about 30 seconds.
Lyft trading higher here, though, a little bit of a pop there.
Up 1.1%, trying to get over the 20-day SMA.
Setting up for a new all-time high at the open here, 687.
What is?
Oh, the market.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see what we get here in 5 seconds. Yeah, as long as Lyft can close above that 20-day SMA, there should be some more upside. But it looks like $22 has a big resistance area.
Okay. We are open. Let's see what we get. Lyft first move here was higher out of the gate.
Higher out of the gate for Lyft. All right.
I'll keep rolling through some of these other ones.
RGTZ going higher, which means Rigetti is
RGTI pulling back.
Going lower.
IPDN looks like that fell away from the VWAP right at the open there.
I think VC is about to go into an upside halt. And it is. It is halted.
VC halted?
VC is halted. All right. I don't know what's going to happen. Well, I have a good idea, but could go up, could go down. Might be a big explosive move to the upside out of the halt. We'll see.
I got that halt there, 252. Okay, it looks like my chart was a little bit behind, but it is caught up now. Signals that absolutely has the halt registered there. Okay, we're in good shape.
Come on, Amazon. Let's go. Get your AWS working.
PayPal, by the way, continues to come in.
GPUs, another one that was moving today. This actually had news. GPUs was moving on news that its Bitcoin treasury had increased to $68.8 million.
68 and this is a penny stock still, right? Hyperscaler, yeah, it's still 65 cents. Gotcha.
It was moving this morning. I was like, I know that name, and so I just took a quick look at it. That's the reason why it's moving today.
Apple 269.87, that higher out of the gate. Amazon had a little bit of a dip there in the pre-market and is trading back higher. Looks like Lion, you're in calls here. How about you, Izzy? Is he looking at Apple or Amazon calls? And Tenzin, how are you doing with Apple? Apple actually pulling back off that high there.
Joseph Schmo with the comment of the day so far. Hey, Paul, really.
Paul.
That is really getting hammered right now. It lost 75. It's making its way down to the 200 right now. Meanwhile, RGTZ is ripping. All right, FRGT. This got a little bit of support. It's trying to make its way through the 65 EMA. It's trading above my view up right now. I don't know where it is with yours, but this might get a little bit of volume here.
FRGT, I've got VWAP at 213, far away from the price.
Okay, then that's more of an upside target for you, and for me, I just need to hold VWAP here.
Thank you, Izzy. No calls on Amazon. Bitcoin continuing to trade higher.
Yep, that's causing IREN. And I'm sure Riot is also going to start taking off too here. Yeah.
Oh, look at the move here in IREN. All right, 13. I'm going to leave this on the screen for a sec. BRB.
Okay. And the thing is that with some of these Bitcoin miner names, they are probably going to end up getting converted into data center names as the demand for compute is apparently becoming more lucrative than mining Bitcoin. So interesting development here for the Bitcoin miners that are out there that have a lot of these massive data centers that are being used to mine Bitcoin. Now seeing a renewed purpose. Lung pop? That's not good. Oh, you mean the stock? I know what you meant. All right, let's take a look at lung here. I think we'd probably want to use the proper term collapse, right? But it's not collapsing, it's running. So we are moving over $2 here, trying to climb further. We're getting a little bit of pullback here. It looks like 210, next big resistance area. Matter of fact, I think there might be a little bit of a trend line here with LUNG. Let me take a look. Let's see here. Yeah, if we draw a trend line from these highs and the after hours yesterday, that really doesn't do much for me. But yes, that area that I mentioned there, 210, we're at it right now. This is the first big resistance area. If we can get through this, next one is going to be 220. We were just looking at lung.
Which one? Lung. Got it. LUNG.
And Joseph Schmo, yes, Mara would be one of those. So would CLSK. So Mara, Riot, CLSK, MSTR. Basically, if Bitcoin's going up, those miners are going to go up. But Ryan, as I was just mentioning to the chat while you were gone,
FRGT.
The demand for compute is so large now that it's outweighing Bitcoin miners. Like the profitability from mining Bitcoin. So we're starting to get news of these Bitcoin miners like Riot and Mara starting to convert their data centers into use for AI instead of mining Bitcoin.
And did we talk about Alcoa maybe doing that yesterday on Happy Hour? Was that the same thing?
No, it's not the same thing. But so Alcoa has a bunch of smelting facilities that have been decommissioned. Lung's still moving here, making its way through 220 now. Next resistance is 235 and then 255. Sorry, let me get the actual name of the site. It's just outside of Austin. It's hold on a second.
It's okay. It's okay. I didn't mean to. I was just wondering if it was the same type of thing there.
So Rockdale. There's a facility in Rockdale, or just south of Rockdale, that has Riot and Bitdeer's mining facilities. Now, this is built in an area where it was previously used for, I think, either smelting aluminum or for producing electricity through steam. Maybe it was, this electricity production was for this smelting facility. But anyway, it's a very valuable site for data centers because they can be repurposed, because of the access of utility and telecoms. But we didn't really touch on these Bitcoin mining facilities being used for data centers. This is something new, but the fact that Riot and Bitdeer are out there, makes that a possibility. We're still waiting for VC to. Looks like
it halted. I was going to say it resumed, moved to the lows, halted there at 215. So VC here halted to the downside. This is your second halt of the day.
Yep. Sorry about the
you're good.
The wordy explanation there.
No, you're good. I asked for it. You gave it to me. We all good. We all good. Long looks like this stopped here. FRGT.
About to break through a trend line.
Let's see this and then this. Here's the trend line. We are right there. Also, I've got VWAP here at 212. Charlie's squawking FRGT right now. See if we get any more volume push there. FRGT. Really would like to see this move to the VWAP, frankly.
Got some pullback in RGTZ, but it's holding above VWAP. Treasure Global. This was one I think we looked at yesterday.
Yep, TGL. Yes, sir.
This one had a little bit of a pop out of the gate. It's a penny stock, though. So
worth looking at again here today.
Yeah.
It gave a lot of that back, maybe.
Lung pulling back after hitting 234.
Lung keeps going off of my scan. I wonder if that's because it's moving up and down. Yeah, looks like Lung pulled a little bit off that high price, which took it off my scanner.
That one from yesterday that had the Benzinga exclusive CODX, that's helped to the downside. That's ugly.
Yo, so with those exclusives, especially on a lot of those, you got to play them right when we actually get that news, it seems.
Yeah.
Here's your CODX halted to the downside, 71 cents. Short-lived trades there.
Yeah.
FRGT, it's moving through the trend line. Watch a 2 pop here. FRGT, there's some size there at 2.
Yep, that's it.
There it goes and through. I've got VWAP at 211.
Looks like
nice little move there on FRGT. Trim that up.
Yeah, 225 looks like that's going to be one of the upside resistance areas. 215 and 225, I would say.
And how's PayPal doing here? Who's on PayPal for a trade here today? Is anyone on? So it looks like, hey, look at that. It looks like this held 75. So we talked about maybe back testing that 75 previous breakout area on PayPal. It's held it so far. Anyone looking to load this one? Did anyone miss the earnings trade for PayPal? I can't wait to ask Anne-Marie about some of the trades that we can take here today, either on new earnings or maybe a post-earnings trade here. Okay, Big B's, you're in there. Envious is in there. Atlas is in there. Amanda's in there. Boy, we got a lot of people on PayPal here. Really good stuff. Really good stuff on that. I doubled my PayPal investment. Okay, sweet. Sweet. Anne-Marie, we're always looking forward to it. We're always looking forward to it. CODX trading on huge volume here.
Wow.
And it continues to roll to the low. I'll tell you what, Bill Jurr saying I sold PayPal pre-market 81. That was a real good sell there.
Nice.
Register ring for you, Bill. Good stuff. Daniel is also in PayPal.
Now, we did look at Data Vault, and that has come back in. One thing to keep in mind is that this company is going to be going through some share dilution next month. Remember we talked about that, Ryan?
Oh, yeah.
And
SCLX.
LX.
I get those mixed up. There's a number of those.
Yeah, so SCLX, in September last month, they entered into a deal with this company. It was a Bitcoin, I believe a Bitcoin treasury deal. And part of they're going to be giving SCLX shares into a couple of tranches. They've already done one. The next one is supposed to be in November. And there's going to be a lot of shares given to them, which SCLX is likely to sell probably immediately. So there's going to be some downside pressure to DLVT coming next month. Now that's supposed to happen on the 24th. So you have
24th of November is that. Yeah, I don't have a trade on for that. We'll see what happens when that actually takes place. But a good mention nonetheless.
Keep that in mind if you're on DVLT, trading it, holding it, or whatever. Just keep that in mind.
XHLD got a question here. I'm not on this. This is a penny stock that did break that pre-market high. I'll probably just avoid this though. I'll look for something a little bit better.
I saw that this morning, and it was a penny stock, and I was like, yeah, I'll probably just not cover that. So
Bitcoin continuing to trade near the highs. 115,500 looks to be the next stop there for Bitcoin. It's actually flagging up here. That's the futures chart. Ethereum is following. The ETHA ETF. This is actually down 1.2% from yesterday, but it is up off the lows. So maybe we end up going green there in Ethereum. Bitcoin looking all right. Bitcoin did do a red to green move already. Drones are down here today. Indeed, Ondas pulling back here. Is that going on with the rest of the drones as well, like UMAC and ARCAT? Yeah, all of these pulling back here a little bit.
Kratos is not down. It's actually rising.
Okay, so the little drones taking a little bit there, taking a little bit of a hit there. Lion Atlas taking 110% profit on the PayPal calls. I love it. Register ring for that. We talked about that yesterday. You guys actually gave that out yesterday. XHLD new highs. TSLL, this is your levered 2x Tesla bull ETF. This at the highs and over yesterday's highs. Tesla 461 here out of the open. PayPal might also be turning around. Boy, I tell you what, PayPal really held that 75 level on that pullback, back up here at about $77.
Nice. I mean, how far down did it go?
Well, there's like an impulse candle down here to 35.50, but looking at how the candle resolved on the 5 minute, it looks like it just held 75, kind of peaked below, if you will.
Still waiting for FRGT to make this move. We need to see some volume in this thing.
Yeah, this did get above the trend line there. It's consolidating here, which I think is good news, but it has not taken out that VWAP yet.
GPUs, just still waiting for this to get some volume too. It's been trying to get over 65 cents.
I'll pass on that one too. UNH, wow, big reversal here. UNH was higher in the pre-market, big time green to red move here.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
We didn't have any other news from that earnings, did we? How's the rest of the market doing? So the SPY pulled off the highs, Dow pulled off the highs, but NASDAQ still up near the highs.
United Health expects path to recovery in Medicaid to be more challenging. I have a suspicion that could be one of the reasons why it's down like this.
Who told us that months ago? Rub my chin. Who told us that months ago? Big Bees told us that months ago. When we were first talking about this, Big Bees, good call there.
PayPal is Luke Skywalker. UPS is Porkins.
What? I missed that
UPS,
Star Wars reference.
Does UPS have a bit of a problem here? Oh, man.
Would you, Amanda here saying, would you believe I begged my best friend to sell his UNH stock? Well, Amanda, you tried to be a good friend. You can't push the buttons for other people, that's for sure. Ethereum still climbing, Bitcoin at the highs, Apple at the highs, Netflix at the highs. Netflix 1104. Boy, are we going to recapture that 200-day? Or are we already above it? Let me go back to the bigger chart here on Netflix. Does anyone have a position on Netflix right now? How you doing with Netflix, chat? Nope, not quite on the recap. Look at this. Oh, man, this is setting up, folks. Let's see if we get a recapture of that 200.
Setting up for rejection at the recapture?
I don't know. That's the thing. It could. If it does, it's going to go lower, probably to your price target, 13.
VC is open.
Let me go back to the main workspace.
Looks like this is getting some downward pressure. We'll see. We'll see if it can take out or go back up to VWAP, but this looks like it's getting some downward pressure. It's probably going to halt again.
DCO, this is from the Squawk. DCO, traders circulating a negative report here. Aggressive accounting. Culture of hitting numbers at all costs. DCO getting a little bit of a rumor circulated there. That's just a rumor.
Wow, that's an unbelievable move. Well, I guess it's not unbelievable, but that's a pretty good move down there in United Health.
Uh-oh. Look out. Beyond Meat's at the highs. Beyond Meat is trading up here. Did you guys go over open? You know what? We did not take a look at Open Door here today. That's up by 1.5% here. Open Door basically sideways. If we look across the last couple of days here, had an impulse move higher, right up to about, 840-ish? That was on Friday. It's really kind of held this level. I'll tell you what, this 840, 850 looks to be the next level there on open.
Take a look here. Was there news on open?
You know what? I don't think so. We do have earnings in 9 days, so this is going to be a little over a week there. Thursday, November 6th.
Yeah, open still has that high short interest too.
Yeah, no news.
Cover. Only 1 day to cover, though, yeah.
Bind and Wolf trading on high volume right now. BYND still at the highs of the day. That's Wolf with a U, by the way, WULF. This thing, a nice rip out of the gate on some pretty good volume.
Any good news on BNBX? Let's see here. This thing is not moving a lot at all. Only 143,000 shares traded.
I'm guessing there's no news then.
There is some news. It launched a digital asset treasury dashboard and provided a corporate update. I'm not going to read that, but that's the piece of news from today. This has a really high short interest. 77% of the float shorted, but only 1 day to cover, probably because the float's 518,000 shares.
Netflix still screaming higher, looking for that recapture. I want to see how it closes today. I'm not just necessarily going to buy if it peaks over. Also, Amazon, Izzy, really good job waiting this one out here today. I had asked you when this was curling up if Amazon was a buy. You said no. Here it is rolling over to those pre-market lows. This actually looks like it might want to test lower. That was a really good call. Really good call there early, Izzy. We'll take that. PayPal still holding 75. This actually looks like it might try and retake the VWAP. I've got the VWAP at 77.27. FRGT rolled over, by the way, couldn't get to its VWAP there.
Yeah, data vault, it's getting some pops, but it's coming right back in. It's having real trouble with the 370, 375 area. Even since the pre-market has not been able to really get into that area and hold above it. And I can see that there's some large sellers at 373 and 375. They just another seller just stepped in at 359. It's going to take a lot more volume to go higher here. So hopefully that comes about at some point.
Envia saying PayPal going to 80 soon. I know it. I'll be honest. I'm watching this right now. It is battling with its VWAP right now at PayPal. Envious, this is what I'll say. If we can hold above that VWAP, I think your $80 is probably on here. PayPal, ticker PYPL, might be curling back up towards 80. I've got VWAP at 77.28 in TradingView, 77.26 in my broker.
Waiting for Lung to get some volume here.
That's Lung.
Yeah, it's
okay.
trying to get going here. There's some sellers in the way, but if we get some volume, it could push through the 230s.
Amazon continuing to roll over there. Apple here holding 269. VIX actually trading up here too. So we've got a VIX print in the 16 handle, 1621 on your VIX.
Oh, getting a little nervous there, market.
I'll tell you what, the SPY. So now finally, so here we go. Let's take a quick look at the market. Here's your SPY chart. I had mentioned that the SPY and the Dow had pulled first, basically erasing what we've done here in the pre-market. Qs now, NASDAQ just starting to follow it here. So NASDAQ also pulling off those highs. We'll see if this accelerates here. Maybe we'll do a little bit of a pullback here. 13 looks like we did set a new all-time high right out of the open, but so far it looks like it's pulling back.
Again?
Breath actually turning negative here too. I do think that breath precedes price movement. Breath moving from everything being green earlier. Now we have the S&P, the Russell, and the NICE in the red.
VC is open and probably going into another halt.
185, so another downside halt here on VC. I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens the rest of the day, but it sure looks like the early trade here on VC was the trade, and selling into that liquidity rip higher was the move. PayPal lost 77. We'll see if it can recapture that in the VWAP. Right now, it's battling with the VWAP.
Smoke Tuna saying keep KIT on your radar. They won't let you trade VC. That might be
what do you mean by that? I don't have any tickets on VC myself. Funky Cold Stock says they won't let us trade. Are you being rejected by your broker, or is it just not setting up?
It might be a broker restriction. There are some brokers that will do that. Heightened, elevated risks. They just don't want anybody touching it.
I just don't know. I haven't tried to write any tickets on this thing.
Yeah, looks like GPU is reversing off the 200 EMA. Data Vault making its way towards its 200 EMA.
KDP, Keurig, Dr. Pepper. This was actually a little bit of a scalp yesterday. Really couldn't move higher here. Notable, though, that the pullback today was to the same area, 2840, as KDP pulled yesterday. This actually did find some support there and then trade back up. KDP trying here, 2854.
Izzy, it's KITT. That's the stock he mentioned.
I can put it on screen if that's helpful. Daniel, XHLD printing higher after being shunned by Ryan. That's actually a good call there. I'll give you a 1-up for that. I'm not trading any of the penny stocks. I'll trade a penny stock if there's something really good there, or if it's pretty much the only setup that we see. But we got a lot of stuff moving here. Frankly, I'd rather focus on some of the bigger names. I'm still watching Netflix. QCOM is dumping. A little bit of a pullback here in Qualcomm.
Shouldn't all those tech companies kind of go on a little bit of a pullback? Seems like that would make sense.
Qualcomm has retraced. Oh gosh, I'm just estimating here. This looks like it's retraced 2/3 of its move higher.
It looks like AMD lost 260. What are some other names in that space? No, NVIDIA.
Hey, good mention there on PayPal. We were talking about that, battling with the VWAP. PayPal now pushing higher through that VWAP, 77.50. It actually looks like it might be going for 78 there. Envious, how you doing, bro? See if this continues here. Ryan, take care of yourself.
Take care, Lion. Looks like FRGT is over that trend line again, trying to get going. Need to see some more volume expansion if it's going to get through the sellers.
Okay. PayPal. This looks like this is going to try and go for 78. I got one scalp on PayPal already here.
Data Vault went beneath the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, trying to recapture it now. I don't see
this NU move higher here. I'm seeing this is a huge trade. 1,000 contracts. These were the January 150 calls. 1,000 contracts worth 1.26 million went off here. Let me take a look at the chain. I wonder if that's a closing move.
That's a massive move with TeraWolf with a U. This is absolutely short squeezing right now. 32% of the float short. I think this is the highest amount of short interest it's ever had. Looks like it.
Yeah. So real quick here, I think that these 150 calls for Nucor, I think this is a closing trade here. There was 6,000 about contracts held open in the January 150 strike and expiry. And it looks like traders closing part of that here. That is a big win. That contract up 51%. Wow.
UEC moving up again. This is Catherine. FRGT needs to hold above 2. Not doing that. There's a seller in the way at 2. I don't think it's been able to get back up. It did get up to 2 in the last candle, but it could not close above it. What we need to see is we need to see a lot of volume pour into this thing to take out some of these sellers with FRGT. That's what I think needs to happen.
Not getting that yet.
No, not getting it yet.
It's good. And actually, we've now developed a lower high since that pre-market high that helped us draw the trend line. PayPal, guys, PayPal through 78. Izzy, Ryan, boom, PayPal. Let's go, dude. Hopefully you guys were able to hit that. I'm all out of PayPal. But that is a good green scalp here. And by the way, that we just talked about the market pull. Looks like it's trying to bounce here. Q's bouncing the most, but Dow, SPY, and Q's all bouncing from that initial pullback there.
Envy, there's no volume in VC because it's halted. Once it unhalts, we'll get that volume. I don't know what kind of volume it's going to be. Might be selling volume.
Nice trade there, Izzy. Way to go. Palantir, this ripping back towards the 191 pre-market high on Palantir.
Let's see here. I'm just watching to see if Brigetti's going to make another test of that 20-day SMA, because that's been the reload spot.
Yep.
For RGTZ.
I don't know if you caught Derrick Oldensmith this morning. He was saying that, in fact, I might actually still have it on my chart here. Let me go back to that. just to kind of add to this. So here, Rigetti, he is saying that it's in this triangle, and he's basically trying to trade these for a breakout of the triangle. And in some cases, he does end up front running them. I think his view here on Rigetti was for a move lower.
Yeah.
I just eyeballed this, so this is not like a, totally great level here, but 38.50-ish is where I have the bottom end of that trend line, or the value at the bottom trend line there. We'll see if that ends up breaking. And I had mentioned like you were saying, 13, the wicks up to the 20-day have provided the entrance to RGTZ. That is a really good mention.
I agree that if he's anticipating some downside, it looks like this is, in the process of, bouncing off that channel that I drew, trying to recapture the 20-day SMA, and it's just going to roll over and fail.
Yep. And I think we're going to get another big kind of a mile marker, if you will, if it retests this level here. What happens? Does it bounce from that again, or does it break into that range?
I would prefer, and I think it's what's going to happen is that it gets into that range and kind of bounces around in there for several days before it finally falls out of the channel. That's what I'd ideally like to see. That's what I think might happen. Looks like the slow mover YMAT J Star Holding is, this pump and dump is trying to slowly make its way toward the 65 EMA.
I'm going to set an alert here for 43.20 for Rigetti. If we move back up towards that 20-day, might take a look at RGTZ. We'll add that price alert right to the chart. I'll let you know if that gets hit. Thank you for reminding me that I have a payment due. Appreciate you, phone. All right, let me go back to my main workspace here. Good stuff there on the RGTI chart.
Nothing looking too great.
SoFi, you guys were asking about SoFi yesterday. A little bit of a pullback here towards the 29.50. W key getting mentioned in the chat again. W key up near the highs here. Was this moving on news?
Whoa. Wow, that's a big move. What's going on here?
I don't see any news for this one. It is up 34%. CB consumer confidence 94.6. That's just coming across the wire now.
That is a big move in W key.
Bitcoin's still at the highs. Ethereum too, also trading up here, but Bitcoin leading the way higher. PayPal looks like it's kind of slowed down at that 78 level. I don't think it's done for the day though.
We're being asked if we are bullish or bearish on Amazon's EPS.
I hadn't thought much about it. Let me take a look and see what the seasonality chart for Amazon says here real quick.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if we're talking about their earnings for their Q3, I mean, I don't know. I probably don't really have much of an opinion, but I think it's more about how they're going to guide into the holiday season. That's where I think the attention is going to be paid more. I really don't know. It's not something that I've thought a lot about. Amazon's one of those that I anticipate and wait for pullbacks and just add to it.
Real quickly here, here's my seasonality chart for Amazon for anyone that's interested. It's all right seasonally between November 3rd and February 2nd. We do have somewhat of an up channel here. It comes at about an 80% clip. However, your average loss if you're wrong is 11.3%. Your average gain if you're right about 16.5%. So seasonality favorable here, but not great. Really, it looks like the big seasonal trend. Let me see if I can estimate it from this chart. The big seasonal trend to keep in mind here, and again, this is based off historical data, but looking at this, you're probably looking at like March, beginning of March here. This, I've got March 7th to July 10th, a very, very seasonally strong period for Amazon. So it is strong going into the Christmas holiday here, or the holiday season here, the winter holidays, but not the best seasonality trend. That happens in March. W key, by the way, right up near highs. Looks like it's trying to take 15.
That's
And
wild.
XHLD, the stock I shunned. More new highs here for this penny stock as this goes higher.
Wow.
Zach mentioning IDAI here today. I had said yesterday, just based on what we're seeing from some of these other companies in similar areas, that we might get some news here. Looks like I'm wrong here today. Nothing yet. Yeah, nothing yet here. We did have this kind of fluffy PR on Friday. We'll see if we get some more here today. IDAI, though, holding up near the highs here, 440. This is in that theme for ID verification and authentication.
Yep. Should be a big one.
XHLD, man, oh man, 80 cents here now. Indeed, Tuna, nice hod. You've been on this one all day. And you know what? Anyone trading XHLD, I know I shunned it, but for the rest of you, congrats on that nice move here. This is up 33 cents from the open.
Yeah, I believe that's Mama Bear that's talking about the UPS furniture. Yeah, furniture delivery. Amazon might still just have FedEx do that, since FedEx is now their partner. So I would think that if heavy items and unusual items, things of that nature, that the Amazon drivers wouldn't be able to do on their own, they would just source it out to FedEx.
AMD popped to the highs here. Really quickly regarding that UPS mention there. So when I ordered my replacement TV right before football season started, I actually ended up ordering it off Amazon. The delivery drivers, they came early. It was one of those where I select to the room delivery. So they basically walk the heavy item up to the room which you want this item to be. They don't set it up or open the package or anything. They just deliver it to the actual room. The two guys that showed up, I actually asked them, I go, do you guys get to pick this? I was like, thanks for coming early in the morning. And the one guy was like, yeah, we get to pick them. And not only that, I love doing these morning deliveries. It's like his favorite thing in the world. You're mentioning here about what UPS is going to do with Amazon. I know it's a very small sample size, but from the Amazon delivery drivers that I had talked to, they actually enjoy these. They get to work as a team. They get to pick what time. And in a lot of cases, I guess they get to choose which route they're going on.
UPS isn't working with Amazon anymore. It's just FedEx now.
Okay. I own no UPS stock. The reason their knees and backs are ruined is because they love their jobs.
You don't
RGTZ trying to become a buy? Sorry, get in there.
No worries. Oh, your husband's a driver, but you don't own UPS? Is he having words with you about that? No, I'm just kidding.
Is he having words with you? Polite ones.
You're not invested in the company that I work for?
If I were him, I'd be trying to get stock. Reddit, this did bounce a little bit. Looks like that pulled off the open and is bouncing a little bit here. On no news, Reddit earnings in 2 days.
Still has that task of trying to recapture the 50-day SMA. I don't know about Reddit. I don't know. I get the so I have a theory on what Reddit's going to be like if the environment that they're operating in continues. Could see revenue go down from advertisers if they stay on the course that they're on. That's just my opinion, though.
Izzy sent me some news here. Apparently, Amazon has hired some replacements.
Huh?
He's kidding. This is a joke, but this is
it's a joke for now.
Delivered for Amazon, Izzy. That is something funny. You got that right.
That's a joke for now, but give it time. Give it time. We won't be laughing at it because it'll be a reality.
Two stocks at the top of my list here are penny stocks trading on ridiculous volume. Wolf near the highs. Those are actually some new highs. W Key new highs. This is up $1 plus from the last time we looked at it near those highs. PayPal still holding near 78, by the way.
JP Morgan is pumping. Pumping up. Data Vault printing new lows. GPUs trying its darndest to not go beneath the 200-day SMA. We'll close beneath it anyway. FRGT making its way towards its 200-day SMA.
PayPal back through 78, by the way.
Lots of these names look like they're just curling over.
More calls being bought in PayPal, but it sure looks like they're going to try and take PayPal higher here. Also seeing some wolf calls hitting the unusual option scanner here.
Yeah. Yes, VC is halted. It is.
I have this as halted here. Yeah.
This might be, I think, what, the fifth one now?
This is the fifth halt. That is correct. Harvey's asking, is there any way to know how long? Generally, when it's halted on volatility like this, it's either 5 or 10 minutes. I know we've been kind of speculating based on the time halted. For example, this last VC halt here happened at 10:06, so it's been halted for 3 minutes. 10:06:33 if you want the actual seconds there. So we'd be looking at what? 10:11:33 as a possible resumption time. Comes in at just about 2 minutes. Harvey, sometimes it'll say, depending on what's reported to the exchange, our algorithm here, if it gets a resumption time, it will list it in the signals tool. But more often than not, we do not get those times. We basically just estimate. In some cases, once we get to the 5 minute, if it doesn't open, then we just kind of assume it's 10 minutes. Smoke Tuna here saying VC to open at 10:11. That's exactly what I get from its halt time if it is in fact 5 minutes. 10:11:33. Thank you, Tuna. Tesla's still at the highs. TSLL means that's still at the highs. And this RVYL, this is another penny stock. Looks like this is moving on volume right now. RVYL. I'm not in it.
Financial services, huh? Blockchain-based payment solutions. That's what, let's see if I can pronounce this. Rival. Right? It's like trying to pronounce rival, but it's spelled with Y's.
Yeah, looks like it to me. PayPal high of the day. So what do we think here? Is you think eventually on a potential swing trade, PayPal 100 plus possible? I mean, they own Venmo. What's their PE going into today was 12. So this is what, 14 times earnings? That's not even that expensive.
Is Tesla about to go south?
Let me bring it up.
And we might have VC on halt here pretty soon.
Yeah, 10:11:33. There you go. Oh, no. Here's your Tesla chart. I'll keep an eye on VC there.
It's unhalted now.
All we had to do was wait. There we go. VC.
Looks
174.
Looks like it's going to go into another halt.
Yeah, Izzy, I think I'm with you on this. PayPal, buy the dip when it does dip here and then hold till 100. I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, PayPal owns doesn't Venmo have something like 700 million users?
I do not know.
I feel like it's got a ton. I feel like everybody and their mom has Venmo.
Looks like Freight seems to be trying to get
that's
some
FRGT,
support.
Right? Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. FRGT trying to get some support down around the 200 EMA. We'll see if it does. It looks like VC is not halted. It's still going. GPUs still trying to move off of that 200 EMA. Long actually trying to turn around here and breathe some new life into the stock.
I see what you did there, and I liked it. Joe, this is a good question. What do you make of BTC and ETH being up, yet various crypto treasuries down? This just kind of goes back to the discussion that we've had about some of these crypto treasuries. I'm willing to bet that some of these are kind of junky and others are much better. I think the asset itself is way more important in terms of what it's doing than what some of these treasury companies are doing. For example, what's Mr. doing today? What's Strategy doing? Strategy here is actually in the green. this is probably the best of the treasury companies, wouldn't you say?
Probably. I mean, I don't really buy into the whole treasury strategy with crypto.
Well, so maybe that's your answer right there. Why is the asset up itself and the treasury's down? Well, because the treasury companies maybe not using that to the fullest potential. Maybe that's not a good reason for it to necessarily be up. The asset itself different though.
Lung still
Bitcoin at the highs, by the way.
Still getting a lift here. 220 going to have the largest amount of resistance. We're also up near VWAP at 215. So 215, 220 can be a little bit of resistance there. Freight still trying to turn around. VC still has a big seller at $2. GPUs still trying to move off that 200 EMA. Starting to get some of these movers turning around here. IREN is still trying to hammer that $66 level that it ran up to out of the gate. If it continues to hit this again, we might get an ascending triangle breakout here.
Buffalo by Bicycle says, I started using Venmo to get Jim Beam rebates. Oh, that's funny. I actually started Venmo to pay two things. The woman who I see to get my haircut accepts Venmo from me, which is often handy because I don't often have cash on me. That's helpful. But also golf trips. Because a number of courses, someone has to pay for the foursome, and then you pay that person back. I think I probably have more Venmo transactions tied to golf than anything else. You could throw sports betting in there too, but I think I pay more for golf than I do for sports betting. Amanda says on PayPal, you could sell the 78 Halloween put. That's the one that expires on Friday. My spidey senses tell me, or get put to it for cheaper.
Hey, do you remember? So here, this is interesting because it's also in our identification and tracking theme. But remember, we traded. I think might have been either yesterday or last week. BKYI BioKey.
Mm-hmm.
This recaptured $1, ran up to 117, and it doesn't look like it's going to come back underneath $1 just yet.
This was a yesterday thing. This was kind of a disappointment yesterday, so it'll be interesting to see if this gets rolling here. Yeah. This is funny. Smoke Tuna saying keep Galt on watch. Funny story about Galt. I actually met the CEO randomly at the golf course right next to my house. I was randomly paired with three people. It was him, his wife, and his son. They were extremely nice people. And I was like, oh, I know your stock. I think I've traded that before. Don't own it though. Here's Galt 519.
When is the next halt on VC? Whenever it gets enough volatility. It's not a scheduled thing. It happens. It's a conditional halt.
It happens because of volatility. Too much, too fast is what is the trigger for that halt.
Yeah.
A lot of penny stocks at the top of the list here today. It looks like VC was just trading there.
Lung trying to get over its VWAP, still has that seller at 220. Data Vault printing lower now.
VC, is it trying to curl here?
VC is trying to recapture
9 EMA.
The 9 EMA. It's trying to get a hold above VWAP. It's going to need a lot of volume to get to go higher than the pre-market. I don't know that this is done, but that pre-market move could have been it. I'm not sure.
Tesla looks like it might be stopping here 462. Really quickly, I kind of briefly mentioned this yesterday. Just curious, is anyone dressing up for Halloween? And if so, what is your Halloween costume? 13, are you showing up to the stream in costume?
Should I?
I mean, if you have one, I generally don't. The best suggestion that I've heard is that I wear some gigantic piece of plastic and I go as the AI bubble.
Gil Whopper asking about that halt. Hold on, I'll answer your question in a second here. He's asking about that halt. Is it it's a percentage, certain time frame, right? No, we've seen, and it can be any percentage. It's just all about the volatility. It's not about how much it moves up or a certain time frame. It's when it happens. It's what is it? Is it the amount of shares traded in a certain period of time? Like what exactly is the trigger it needs to see? It's not a certain percentage, but it is a certain time frame. It's usually a very short period of time, and it's a time where the stock sees a massive increase in volume. That's my understanding of when it triggers those halts, but it's not percentage based.
Yeah, I thought it was a specific. It's tiered, right? I can look up those rules. It's tiered, so you can. It's like if the stock is, I think, like under $5 or whatever, it moves a certain percentage within 5 minutes. It halts. I would have to look that up. I can.
It's not a certain percentage, because we've seen a lot of these just like go from like nothing to different percentages, and it starts to trigger a halt. I thought it was a certain amount of volume in a period of time. I don't think it's percentage. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it's a percentage.
Really quickly here, Anne-Marie, you like the idea of the AI bubble? The Crow says I'm dressing up as a profitable trader. Joe's going as Michael Myers.
Nice.
Ryan's going as Peter. Envious is going as a Bitcoin.
Long still rising. His cone is a Bitcoin.
I love that. Envious. Somehow you got to tweet me a picture of your Bitcoin costume. I like the Crimp Biscuit here. Go as a green candle with a small wick on top.
Wear wigs.
Sure, let me just go pick up my wig from the wig store real quick. The producer's going as a Chinese stock up 500% on no news. Oh, I know I can always rely on you folks.
Just go as a stock with a knife in your back. So that because it knifed. Anyway, I don't know. I'm extending myself now here with this.
Here we go, guys. Here, I'll give you this link. This is an Investopedia link for trading halts. I'm going to read you this paragraph. Circuit breakers can also apply to trading on any stock under U.S. trading rules. For stocks priced above $3 and included in the S&P 500 or the Russell 1000 indices, as well as certain exchange-traded products like ETFs, trading is halted for 5 minutes after sudden moves of more than 5% and lasting more than 15 seconds up or down from the average price over the prior 5 minutes. So there's kind of a lot of moving parts in there.
So he's right.
For other stocks priced above $3, the sudden price move required for a trading halt is 10%, while those priced between 75 cents and $3 are halted after a sudden gain or loss of 20% or more.
Here's the problem I have with all that, because we've seen plenty of these names go from like nothing up to like 10, 20, 50% and never halt. So that's why I always say that it's on volume. So I know that's the problem I have with that explanation, that it's a percentage in a certain time frame. I mean, you're right. The gentleman that was asking about it is right. But the problem I have with it is that we've seen so many of these do exactly that and not halt. But it has to be more of a volumetric.
So you're right. So there is a percentage requirement to this, but 13, it also said in this, and again, this is just kind of written this way. It has to be a sudden move of more than 5%, and it has to last more than 15 seconds. That requires volume in order to do that. So you're not wrong on that. It actually does require that volume, but the volume has to move at a specific parameter. Okay, that was the good little lesson there. By the way, VC curling here. KITT getting mentioned here by Tuna. Sorry, 13.
No, it's halted. That was all I was saying. VC.
Okay, here's Kit. KITT still looks like 2. The level that it needs to break. Dye your hair gray in your Aikman for Halloween. Dude, that might be the biggest compliment I've got all week. Troy Aikman, he's a successful, good-looking dude. Ryan, check your DM for Halloween costume. Oh, that's probably not safe for work.
LAES is moving. Folks are saying, and LAES and WKey have moved, hand in hand quite frequently. So if this is moving, it's not surprising that WKey is, and vice versa. WKey still not finished. 14.45 the price is right now. It's hit prices.
Oh my God. Okay.
Since 2021. What's up?
I need to share this. Share. Yeah, I don't know how to share this directly from what Jay Rice sent me.
Show screen.
Here it is. Here, I got it. I'm coming. This is, I'll tell you what. What is playing? Here we go. I tell you what, this is a really cool idea. And I'm sorry for making a joke that this might have been not safe for work, because this is absolutely safe and it's awesome. Here we go. You ready for this? This is what Jay suggested I go as for Halloween. You guys ready for this? Here you go. Nobody beats these Halloween costumes.
Awesome.
Nobody.
Yeah, I've seen
Check this out.
Yeah, this is awesome. Yep. That's sweet. All right, Autobots, roll out.
Okay. All right. A couple of things real quick. I know we're digressing here from stock trading. This is awesome. And a big time shout out to every single one of those parents for helping them come up with that type of costume. That is amazing.
GPUs finally moving away from the 200 EMA. Yeah, Starscream was awesome. Yep. Starscream, Bumblebee, and Optimus. I used to watch that. I know.
You guys are mentioning LAES as well was another one. Well,
LAES, as I was just saying, LAES and WiseKey have often traded together.
Okay.
RVYL gonna go, says Crow, and Smoke Tuna saying he's in RVYL. This is Rival.
That's the penny stock.
Yep. They're saying it's about to do things. Matter of fact, it looks like it's already gone, but they're saying it's about to go again. Now, moving over 55 cents, that's, we're looking for a break above 58, I believe. Gargoyles and G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe was great, and this makes me think of all those PSAs that have been changed so that they're hilarious. Have you seen all those, Ryan?
No.
The PSAs, G.I. Joe PSAs?
I don't think so.
Where they try to teach kids safety tips and
yeah. No, yes, I do.
So they took a whole bunch of those and kind of, this is years ago before AI, and kind of just chopped it up and did voiceovers, and it's yes. See, Josh knows it. You got to look up G.I. Joe PSA parodies.
I'm gonna let me make a note of that.
Pork chop sandwiches. That's perfect. Yes. Okay.
G.I. Joe
PSA parodies.
PSA parodies.
He-Man was also great. They're making a live action of that actually right now. He-Man. All right, VC still climbing.
PayPal, by the way, 79. This was nice. PayPal was nice.
Get rid of pattern day trading. I think we're working on it.
That's coming.
Yeah.
That's coming. I think that got approved, right? So I just don't think it's gone yet, but I'm pretty sure that got approved. God, we are going to make, that is going to help so many people. Worst rule ever in trading. That was like what I thought about every day when I was like, how am I going to get my account above 25K? And then when you finally do, it's like the most liberating thing ever.
VC still making its way back up. There's a lot of sellers at 240 though. Could prove tough.
Looks like that RVYL stopped there at about 55 cents as well. ASST may be curling. That's actually moving on some decent volume there.
PayPal is going to 100. Maybe one day.
Daniel's saying is this now? Daniel's saying Fidelity now needs $2,000 for pattern day trading. Is that right now? You can actually do that right now. That's wild. Yeah, actually, Jeremy here saying once you're above 25K, you're like, don't lose now. So this is actually a really good mention here, because here's the thing: you look at that 25K level as like a goal, right? You're trying to get to that goal, and you get to, like, let's say 25,500. Boy, you bet you got to be real careful there. If you close under 25K available balance, you're subject to that. My suggestion here, shoot for something a little bit higher. Shoot for 27, because you really don't want to do something that changes the way that you trade. If you've built an account from 2,000 to 25,000 over however long it takes you, if you do that, you're doing something right along the way. And if all of a sudden you hit that threshold and you change everything, you're setting yourself up to screw something up. So what I would say is shoot for a little bit higher on that. Fidelity website still says 25K. Yeah, Anne-Marie's right. They're supposed to eliminate that, but I don't think it's eliminated yet.
GPU is still making its way up toward its 65 EMA. It just barely kissed it. Data Vault, big turnaround. Data Vault trying to get above its 200 EMA. VC still slowly climbing, running into a bunch of sellers from here to 240. Freight might end up losing its 200 EMA. It looks like it's just headed down in that direction, down at a support area. This was this area that it's in right now, just around 170, has been support for the majority of this pre-market session. But it looks like it's at risk of losing it.
SMR I noticed was on here. SMR, this is having a nice move here today.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing that I was wondering, is like, if pattern, when we do get pattern day trading, or when it changes, would that be the market top? Is that when, if we're going to have all these people just pile into the market, and then everybody's just going to take their gains?
I'll tell you what, I hope that's not the case, 13, because there's going to be so much stuff blamed on that's not actually a result of that, if that's what ends up happening.
Yeah. Long still holding above its VWAP after 15 minutes now. Data Vault still trying to recover lost ground. Joseph Schmo mentioning that the nuclear names are all up 4 to 6%.
Is anyone taking shorts on those? Just out of curiosity. APLD ripping on volume here today.
This is pulling back now. Applied Digital. It did run up to, what is this, 36.93. Now pulling off of that. Looks like some early support's going to be down around 36.15. DHI high of day.
Goldman Sachs high a day. PayPal, tell you what, it really kind of stopped at that 79.80 level and backed off. So if that comes in and holds 75, maybe a swing long on that. I'll let you know if I take that. 77 now on PayPal's. That's coming in a little bit.
So DR Horton, they had earnings today, and the stock went down. Actually, it leaked all the way into the open. And then as soon as we opened, we took off. And that's where it's going now. DHI is now back up to where the sideways consolidation was for earlier this week and last week. So it looks like there's a big demand here to get this stock over 160. That's what it looks like.
That'd be a nice red to green move post earnings.
Yeah.
Lumen
what is
on the
that?
scanner? How's Lumen doing?
What do you think that tells us with this move after earnings? It sells off in the pre-market, gets bought up in the regular session. Is there favorability here, or do we think that maybe the theme that we were on about housing, with Felicia and everybody, do you think that's still looking good with this kind of move?
I think that the buying today tells you that with the earnings event out of the way, people are positioning for home builders to see a step up going into next year. And I think that as far as you're tying that to the rest of the real estate trade, which we have some other angles like Rocket, UWMC, maybe another builder like Toll or Pulte Homes, I think all of those are probably viewed the same way here. I think what you're seeing is you get the earnings print out of the way now. So now you can be in this, not really expose yourself to a binary event. We're still in the rate cutting cycle here. We're expecting to get one tomorrow. Maybe some of these housing stocks pop on a rate cut confirmed tomorrow. And then you had traders positioning today after the print into the binary event tomorrow, which we all kind of think is going to be a cut.
We were getting asked what were the nuclear names.
Jay, hang on. So really quick, just to finish your thought here. DHI got some under 150 here because PHM, Pulte Homes, another one of those that I just mentioned, did the same thing. So here's the look at the DHI chart. Here's the Pulte Homes chart, PHM, Pulte Group. Did the same thing. Good mention there, Jay. What do you think of our speculation there that this is for people positioning for the real estate trade with the impending rate cut cycle? And I'm sorry, 13, I ran you over. What did you want me to pull up?
Well, I was just answering a question in the chat. Somebody was asking, I think it was Moses asking about what were the nuclear names. That's SMR, OKLO, NNE. Those are the ones we were referring to. Somebody else also asking, Zach asking, anyone trading the NKLR as a nuclear name? It is a nuclear name. This is a SPAC that just merged recently. I haven't looked at that one yet. By the way, VC is halted again. NKLR,
the seventh halt of the day, by the way.
Yeah, NKLR. So this is now under $10. So this kind of more or less what I was talking about could happen with this name, going through the de-SPACing process. They did have some of those lockup shares become available to able to be sold because of the milestones that was being hit shortly after this was merged. So this trading lower. I don't know how far down it's going to go. It could go down to $1 maybe before it completely de-SPACs. But it's been kind of going sideways for a week now. It looks like you got your resistance at about 11 and your support down at looks like close to 750. So that's kind of the range that you're in right now until one day it's either going to have a good move up or a really good move down, and then you'll probably end up going sideways again. It's just kind of taking a staircase down at the moment.
Zach, Ryan, do your look around the horn on NKLR. So you just want to know what the short interest is there and the volume and all of that? Do that here real quick. Here is NKLR. Let's see what it's doing. It gave up that huge move higher. Where are we at here? So it's still beneath 10. Here's a look at the short interest and the volume stats that you were asking for. Short interest on NKLR. This is actually good since we've got the most recent print here. Oh, and you're not going to load after all of that. So I didn't get any. I don't have a float reading. I do have a short interest reading here. It's really low. Let me see if what know the float gives us real quick for this.
This just merged. So you're probably not going to get a lot of this data. And you just had a lot of those, as I was saying, you just had a lot of those locked up shares become available to be sold. So you're going to get a lot of share dilution. I don't think that you're going to get an accurate float reading until this de-SPACs some more.
13 is absolutely right. I've got no float reading on Know the Float, and I do not have a float reading from our morning poll here from Morningstar either. So we do have a little bit of short interest there, but it's not a whole lot. And then on average here, the stock trades about 4 million shares. Today it's traded a tenth of that, 461,000. Easy for me to say.
Now, if there's a nuclear name that you want to trade that hasn't gone through its merger yet, that's HOND. This one kind of been on the downturn since October 15th, where it hit a high of 33.37. It's pretty much cut in half now, but it looks like it's been getting some support down here in the teens. So as long as we can continue to hold above 16, we might be able to get some decent trades out of it. The ugly day yesterday, might get some better trading today. I'd say maybe $20 could be a resistance area to the upside, but there's some other levels in the way too. So I don't know. The SPACs right now, I'm not sure I'd want to touch them at the moment. Maybe when we if the rate cut's happening tomorrow, maybe they'll start trading better.
Yeah, I got to refresh Pro here. This thing is lagging so bad.
All right. Just waiting for that to unhalt. GPUs, man, that 200 EMA on the 5-minute really put the support in. Now it's above the 65 EMA, trying to get back to the open, which should be about 65 cents. Looks like Lung is still trying to hold that VWAP. Data Vault got rejected at its 200 EMA. PLTZ is flying because PLTR is dying.
PLTR here, it looks like 191 was your intraday high there. We talked about that being a potential level here. Pull back to 188. Well, whoever asked me about adding to this earlier today, it looks like, at least so far, the ad spot was in fact yesterday.
Add PLTR?
And PLTR, well, PLTZ, adding PLTZ because of wanting short exposure to PLTR, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 188, I think that's absolutely the spot that we're going to want to pay attention to. If we start trading underneath that, 186 is look like it's on the docket next. I have 186 marked off. As a matter of fact, Friday, this thing ran up to 186 and was rejected, and it didn't. It just went sideways for the rest of the day. And it wasn't until Monday that we gapped up over 186 and held above it and even back tested it. So if we lose 188 here, 186 I think is going to be the level to pay attention to.
Beyond Meat at the highs here. We have getting another volume pop. I'll probably stay away from this one. Tenzin mentioning Apple coming back in. Apple hit a $4 trillion market cap and came in from that. 269.87 was the high. I don't know exactly what price the 4 trillion market cap was at. Peter's asking, is it still good to enter BYND? My vote is no, but I'll open that up to the group here.
Yeah, you trade BYND on your own volition or your own accord. I do not want to touch that thing. Could be good. I don't think it will be. We've already seen this company try to push their products out. They were in many different grocery stores. It didn't work out. I don't think it's going to have a high valuation. It would be worth more than so many other food companies if it did. Don't want to touch it. 100% trash. I agree. Looks like you're going to get another halt in VC. And Data Vault, new lows of the session. And if that's what you want to do, Bob, that's fine. There's no shame in that. There's no problem with that. If you want to just try it because it might do something, there's absolutely trade how you want to trade it. But if you're asking for anybody asking for what we think, we'll straight up tell you we don't like the company. We think it's far too risky of a stock to enter. XHLD may be getting a bounce. So did we get a significant pull off of that?
Yeah, it pulled basically down to the VWAP and the 9 EMA at 65 cents.
Okay. Let's see here. So with this one, it looks like you might, if this continues to come in, because we did lose VWAP, if this continues to come in, there is going to be some support down around 62.5, but I think the better support is going to be down around 56 cents. That's where I would be looking for support with XHLD if we can't hold this 62.5 level.
Go Get It saying it's hard to imagine that crap companies get so much volume. Why not just ignore the company news? Yeah, you can, but I think one of the things that you're hitting on there is that traders, like active traders, and I say this in a complimentary way, we're degenerates. We'll trade anything. So I think what you're seeing there is just people looking for movement, right? The percentage is what they're after there. It doesn't matter that the stock's in pennies. They're looking for a percentage move. And some of these penny movers can move like that. My thing is that they just trade differently. It makes it harder for me, I feel like. We're under 100 likes still?
What is going on there? Come on. Get those likes.
I feel like we've taken more than 100 requests today. You guys can't even hit the like when you make a request? What?
Marty, I don't know what's going on in Florida for property tax voting measures, but in Texas, we're not going to get them eliminated. I think it's mostly just revolving around the homestead exemptions. It's mostly going to be exemptions. So we're going to see our property tax bills lowered if we get this approved. I don't think we're anything close to limiting property tax. That's where a lot of our state's revenue comes from. So yeah, but that's a good mention there that November 4th is when this is going down. So I don't know what the situation is in Florida, but in Texas, we're voting on changing the homestead exemption.
GPUs, I don't know if you had a trend line here, but it looks like it's breaking it.
I have a trend line, but it's not that same one. It started with the one on the very beginning of pre-market. See that red one there? It goes up to 72.
Yeah, so you basically started it from this one and you drew it this way?
No. There we go. That's how I drew it.
Okay.
So kind of, not very steep, but it's descending.
NASDAQ, pretty big reversal there. That actually at the lows of the day. Dow's still holding up. SPY's still above the lows, but that pulled back too. Palantir continues to pull here. 188 break to the downside, maybe coming.
Yeah. Now, was there news on the reason for the pull here? Let's see. Trump meets with corporate execs in Japan. I don't think that's it. When did he start?
The funniest part about that, apparently Trump and the Japanese prime minister were up late because they were watching the Dodgers World Series game that went 18 innings. Wild stuff.
I get the sense that this prime minister's going to be viewed pretty favorably.
Yeah, so do I.
This seems like she seems like well, I don't know if down to earth is the right term to use, but there's a lot to like about her. If you read into the things that she's into and what she's done, she's an interesting person. She seems like fun.
Apparently she likes cars, more specifically ice cars. You had me at that for sure.
She likes ice cars. She's a drummer, and she likes metal. That surprised me. I thought that was pretty cool. Oh, wow. That's a ridiculous amount of tax, Jane.
What? Our restaurant tax in some cities is ridiculous. It's almost 15%.
Yeah, she pays car tax and real estate tax in Virginia. Car tax. We just eliminated
all kinds of taxes in the Socialist Republic of Illinois.
We just had I think our registration fees lifted, so we don't have to do them anymore. I think this is the first full year we don't have to do or pay those fees. I think I'll have to double check that, or maybe it's just the inspection requirement. I'll have to double check and see what it is. No reason been straight up for 3 days. I must have missed what I was talking about that. But anyway, this for elimination property. Okay. Thanks, Marty. Do you know that British pay part of their tax for BBC? Well, if it's like we have that too with public broadcasting. State inspection. That's what it was. Okay.
Crow says, you think you have it bad? You don't know taxes unless you're in Canada. Crow, I'll just take your word for it because the folks, you're right. I've never paid taxes in Canada, and the folks that talk about that, they all say the same thing that you do.
Yeah, I hear it's not.
I hear it's bad.
We just got some Canada news earlier this morning too, I believe. Something about Canada National Resources Minister says Canada has signed several deals with G7 countries to secure critical minerals. We are ready to talk about Keystone XL pipeline revival when Americans are ready to talk.
Sweet.
I'm sure we're ready, but
we'll probably make them wait a little bit.
Politics got to be political, of course.
Yep. SNDK, we talked about some of these storage plays being maybe a little bit extended. This continuing its pullback to the downside here. Gosh, I'd have to go back and watch exactly what the rules were that Derrick gave us for this, but this looking good here on SanDisk.
A lot of things are looking good, but the trading environment has been thin. There's been some good trades here. But it hasn't been like a whole
no,
the whole wide range of things that we could just pick and choose. It's been very, very small.
And what's crazy is that it felt like there was a lot going on right out of the open. I walked away writing only 2 day trades here today. I traded FRGT and PayPal. And the PayPal one, if this continues to pull back, I actually am looking to maybe enter PayPal again here, this time for a swing. I do like that $100 target that we just kind of discussed here. My big problem with that is that I don't know how long it's going to take to get there. That's extremely far out of the money. But I want to see where PayPal closes here today. I'd be enticed if this can close above 75.
Lung is making another move to the upside. It's almost at the session highs. Lots of sellers to get through here from 225 to 240. But 235 is about where, here we go. We're starting to get some more movement here in LUNG. It's a breath of fresh air for this stuff.
I see what you did there. Smoke Tune, I like this. Yesterday, post-market was the most active for a while. Pre-market was the carryover, and the regular session felt dead. Interesting.
Oh, yeah. Now, GPUs, the other one that we were talking about that has that trend line that we drew, still looking for some upside. Trying to get through the seller at 67 cents. And Lung almost at the session highs. Through session highs, going higher. 255 is the after hours highs from yesterday, so that would be the next target. I'm getting a little bit of a pull here. Made the most money this month during after hours. Yeah, after hours has been providing some really big moves lately. Well done on your trades.
Yeah.
Looks like XHLD is trying to recapture VWAP. Now, if we get that and we start closing above VWAP, we have this area, this consolidation from earlier at 78 cents to 88 cents. That's going to be the resistance area to get through. And if we can do that, then we might see $1. ASST lost its T today. Is it on its ASS? Is that what's happening? Yeah, this thing down 13.5%.
VC has been halted 9 times today.
And I'm sure we're going to VC 10.
I
trying to absorb that one.
Yeah, look, maybe we will VC 10. You might be right.
All right.
I don't know what else to do.
BYND pop. Oh, geez.
I'll be honest with a lot of these movers here. I don't really see a whole lot of anything that looks any good.
They move a certain distance, but on low volume.
Yeah.
Or it's like a liquid move and it's coming right back down. It just doesn't, nothing that is happening here really gives me a whole lot of confidence, you know?
Me either.
So, if you're getting these gains, it's probably just a great idea to just take what you're going to get and say thank you. And we'll come back and do this another time like tomorrow, because it just doesn't seem like we're getting a whole lot of follow through with these upside moves in any of these names. Maybe with an exception like Lung. Like Lung is looking all right, but is this really going to go much further? I mean, like we'll have to wait and see. But it's still not at the same amount of volume that we had earlier this morning. Close, but not the same. And we're past that 10:30 time where volume already leaves. So probably it is right to not expect a whole lot. At least not right now. Maybe in the afternoon when things start to turn around. People come back from lunch and whatnot. FRGT has $1 billion investor and it's still going down. Let's see, how many shares in the float? No, not many. Yeah, I mean, should go back down to 115. I don't know, 125 maybe. It wasn't really moving on anything this yesterday or today, and I thought it might have been off of UPS. We did get a little pop off that, but don't know why we got the move at all. And it could go right back down to where it started.
Webcoin says trading for scraps today. Facts, Webcoin. I'm looking around here like there's got to be something, right? Like I'm just missing something here. There's got to be something to trade. I keep not finding much of anything.
And it's perfectly fine. VC's back open again. It's perfectly fine to just sit on your hands for the day. This just might not be the day today where anything really materializes, and that's okay. Just a great excuse to go outside and do other stuff. CCCX Churchill Capital. This is moving on volume on Jensen Wong comments. This came from the Squawk, not in this. And this is let's see, that's the one that's merging with, I believe it's American Robotics, AMC Robotics, I believe is what it's merging.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So he must be talking about robotics, Jensen. Inflections, quantum ticker clock achieves first. There's news. There was news on this.
NRXP also getting a pop here on volume. Take care of yourself, Kev. You're a G.
Take care, Kevin. Yeah, CCCX had news this morning about the demonstration with the Royal Navy regarding the world's first quantum optical clock on underwater autonomous submarines to advance GPS-free navigation. Wow.
Josh, is this what you're mentioning? It's Quantum Inflection is the company? Are you talking about something else?
It's Inflection. It wasn't AMC. It wasn't AMC Robotics. AMC is with another company. I'm trying to think of what
I can't keep these specs straight. We've talked about HOND, SVII, CCCX. What was the other one? NKLR. There's been a lot that we've been talking about. I can't keep them all straight.
No, I was wrong. This is Inflection. Hold on, I'll figure it out. That is going to be ATMV, AlphaVest acquisition. That's who AMC's merging with. ATMV. All right. GPU still trying to climb higher. Lung still hitting that 240 high, having trouble going much higher. Data Vault still turning around. XHLD still not able to get above that VWAP. Maybe Freight's trying to turn around here and recapture that 200 EMA, but man, the volume in this thing is almost non-existent.
VC maybe bouncing off its VWAP.
Yeah, VC is seems like it's compressing. Just kind of trading more and more into a narrower channel. Wow. CCXW pop. Are those? What's that? CCXW. Or were you looking to put one more C in there?
I love that Smoke Tuna is flooding the chat with Jesse Livermore quotes.
So yeah, CCCXW. That's the warrants for CCCX. So you are going to get some movement out of that.
Gary, if PayPal gives 75 and can hold it, I actually think that would be good.
So is Wayfair back? Because I could have sworn that they were starting to go out of business.
So many people pan this name in the 30s. It's at a 3-year high now.
Lots of insider selling last week. Multiple directors, the CEO selling, and not small amounts either. I guess they made a mistake, didn't they? They made a mistake. XHLD, wait for 5 minutes, MACD to go green. So we're looking for XHLD to, well, it looks like it's already moved through the VWAP now. Now it's going to be support. If this continues higher, we're going to keep an eye on that 78 cent level where we are going to be running into some resistance. That whole channel there, 78 cents to 88 cents. That's going to be a resistance area to get through. Well, it looks like it's about that time.
It was my fault. I lost track of time there. Closing words for the group here, 13.
Well, low volume day. We'll just wait and see what we end up getting tomorrow. But you know what, folks? We'll be back here. We'll come back with the same attitude. We'll make some gains. It'll be fun. But until then, I'll see you later. Enjoy the rest of the day, folks. Goodbye.
All right, 13, really good stuff here today. We will check in with you again tomorrow. 13's departure paves the way for Anne-Marie. Let's bring her on. Anne-Marie, good morning. How are you doing here today?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Looking for some action here. I will say markets started off like we were going to have a hot day here today, but it kind of dried up there. So hoping you can save us with some trading ideas here. PayPal reported earnings here today. Did you want to update that at all?
Sure, we can. I have listened to someone say a couple of times that once in a while we have the gap and nap, and we've had the gap and nap for a couple of days.
That's cleaner than the other version I've heard, gap and crap. Gap and nap. I think I like that a little bit more.
Yeah, so we have a couple of things. Royal Caribbean has been screaming higher for a really long time, and I think it's probably in a rotation. Might be hard to trade to the short side, but let's start with an update on PayPal.
Okay.
What we had sitting in PayPal was, where did that trade go? All right, let me see if I can find it on the other one. Here, hang on 2 secs. All right, let's take a look at that. I had an iron condor and then a long call trade that is a butterfly, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And so the iron condor for December, if I could put it out again for you. I don't believe, and I know a lot of people are like, whoa, that's sort of close to where it's at right now. But I think it's got a little trouble between 80 and 75. And so leaving that short spread there, but then choosing the 70, 60. What has happened here? Okay, 70, operator error, and 60. So it's got a pretty good credit. It actually was up when we sold it at about 404, and now the credit is 328, but it's still got a lot of room. You might go, wow, PayPal's up $7, and this is what the chains have done. So think that one through for just a sec. If we have a rise in price, but the option chains don't correspond in the direction of the volatility and price action, it tells us we're having a volatility crush. And so that volatility crush is actually what's making this iron condor hold power. Now, super interesting, if we go to the PayPal chart and we stare it down on the weekly formations, it's still in a pretty solid range, but here's why I'm selling that 80, because I believe it is still landlocked. It's still landlocked between 80 and 67 or so. And so seasonality shows it slightly sideways to up. I think it's a pretty good way to just go, hey, listen, I'm looking for a little bit of a volatility crush. Price action should stall out here as all the people who bought way back here in 2024 are finally able to go, okay, I'm finally getting out, because they thought it would run here in 2025 July, and it didn't. And so it's going to stay ranged until it takes off a little bit later. Looking for some really big deals get done with PayPal, but not right now. So that's my thought. I know everybody was like super bullish on it. I'm not.
Yeah, no, that's good, Anne-Marie. First of all, we always want the other side. Second of all, I think that part of the bullish slant, we've been waiting for this to really do something, and it looked like it was going to do something here today. Plus, we have the earnings event out of the way. So I think that kind of played into it. But hey, the charts don't lie. They tell you what they tell you, and we trade what they tell you there. So, all right, what else do you want to do here today?
Well, I want to remind you about the Lulu trade that is still sitting around this area. The original prices that we got in were at 160. It's now 178, but it's still a valid trade for us on the long butterfly. If you were thinking to be a little bit more outsized in motion, I wasn't, but that 65-cent one is now even cheaper at 55. So my thought is, hey, listen, they're packing enough volatility into the 195, 210, 220 butterfly event. Could be pretty nice for you. And it's got a $5 squeeze on it, so that even if it runs to the moon, you're still going to make, 2x and a half taking that particular trade. But it is doing what we expected it to do.
Sure is.
Lift off that base. And so because we've given it time, it's still got a lot of room to run. So Lulu's doing pretty well. I want to bring up CCJ.
Okay.
Now, they did a deal with the government and a couple of other folks, right? And this has moved up dramatically. Let me show you another company that did a deal with the government and ran off the rails and now is giving everything back. So my thought, if we're going to say, hey, these guys that the government has been taking positions in, they spike and then they fade. We know that the arc for uranium is a very long arc due to all the regulations we have over nuclear nuclear power. I know that our administration is going to try and work on that, but I think this is a really good chart to watch a rotation in because of this very big move, right? And today is only Tuesday. It's got a pretty good bit of volume. I think there's a two-way trade here. So the first one is, hey, listen, let the chart rotate down, give back a little bit, and then into January, we watch it move again. So this put play is for rotation that will probably occur within the next 45 days or so, right? The call side is for when it takes the leap up and begins to move. That's 105, 115 to 130. It's $10 on the upside, but $15 on the downside. Both of these butterflies are like that, but it only takes the risk of one of them because they can't both be in the money, right? So it's $500 of margin required. And you could put this put in and try to get it. I picked it up this morning at the open for 74 cents.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so it's moving really sharply, but I mean, I don't want to sell it right now for that. I'd like to see it run just a little bit. And I firmly believe that it could come back into 75 to 78 before the end of the day. I'd recommend trying to get it around that area. If it doesn't go for you, fine. For the call side, vol crush, we're seeing it across the board. I also took that call spread, but I got it at 37 cents. It's now 28 cents. So we're seeing vol crush across the board. I think that's very interesting to see the vol crush on the call side, seeing it expand on the put side. So there's something brewing in the market, but I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Look at this. It's now dropped to 18 cents. This is a very sweet position if you can get yourself involved. I actually am going to add another one of those. Hang on 2 secs. I just don't want to miss that price. Let's see if it comes in. Sorry.
You're fine.
Yeah.
I'm just looking around here, see if there's anything else going.
Yeah. All right. So SanDisk, we talked about SanDisk last time. I recommended a SanDisk put because I thought, hey, listen, we're going to come back and we're going to fill half the size of last week's candlestick.
Look at that.
That's the last time. So I said, here's what it's going to do. It's going to come back and it's going to hit that halfway point. That'll be when you get out of the trade. The trade was 85 cents. And now, wow, it's all the way over on a credit spread. I actually sold mine at, wow, there are all kinds of things going on in the option chain. I sold mine for $1.40. No, $1.80. And so that, I would say, try and sell it at $1.80 or so, leave it in the queue. That is bizarre that has moved all the way around.
That's a big winner though, right?
Yes, it is a
okay.
big winner. It was a very, very big winner. It was about 3 or 4x for just a couple of days. So what's next here maybe has a lot to do with how the earnings present. So I would say I'm inclined to believe that the price action will rotate pretty significantly. We're going to be together on October the 31st, where I really do hope to see you as the AI bubble. I'm just.
Oh, did you like? Yeah, that's right. You like that costume idea. I don't know how I'm going to pull it off, but
Yeah,
that would be something.
Yeah. So that would be that. Let's talk about. I'll write this on a list.
And real quick, Anne-Marie, I'm just seeing this question here. Eric, I'm sorry, I didn't see this right when you asked this, but just to clear this up, which option did you just purchase? That was back on, I think CCJ, right? That was what we just did.
CCJ, I took both sides of this.
Yeah, I thought you said you were going to add because you didn't want to miss the price. So this is it, Eric. She bought the call butterfly for CCJ. 115 is your body on that. But
I also have the put. And so I bought both sides of those. 110, 115, 130, 95, 85, 70, because I expect a leak before a bounce. I don't think the leak is going to last all quarter. So I'm just going to wait for that sharp move and then the reflexive move after that. All right. Okay. What else do I have? Yeah, there's so many, but the chains are just terrible looking. We could, okay, does anybody have any thoughts about what's coming up, what's been done? What are we looking for?
Well, I'll throw that out to you're welcome, Eric. Glad we were able to do that. I would say, chat, let me know if there's anything that you want to take a look at. In the meantime, here's the calendar, Anne-Marie. So today we've got Visa, Booking, Mondelez, and EA. Tomorrow is where the party really starts. Boeing in the morning. Looks like Verizon, UBS, GlaxoSmithKline. And then in the evening, we've got Starbucks, Google, Meta, Microsoft. Microsoft had some news this morning. Chipotle. So tomorrow is going to be a huge day. Tomorrow and Thursday are your two big earnings days there. Obviously, MicroStrategy, Amazon, Apple, and Coinbase on Thursday. So we have plenty to pick from here if you want this, but I would turn this over to the chat first.
Okay.
I just heard something, Phil, there. Oh, that was an alert.
Yeah.
You guys asking for TMQ, which I don't think has options, and GLD.
Okay. So gold is in a reflexive fade. It is in a space where I believe price action is going to continue to come in before it bounces again. And so the question might be where and how to position. So I'm going to remove these. We've talked about them a little bit. They're sort of hanging on by a thread since they have so much stuff far away here. We have this fade, and let's use a monthly now that we are through the weekly formations. Let's add a time frame and let's go 20 years for a month. And we're going to add that. I'm going to apply, say okay. And now here we're going to go to monthly option formation. Sorry about all those bells and whistles there. So we have a little bit of a topping formation in gold. Ultimately, I believe gold is going to rise again, but it is clearly in a topping formation the way that I see it. So the base of the formation should be 320 or so. Last month, it really accelerated out and it moved from round and about, what is the low? 320 to the high of 355. That's $35. Okay. So the move here was only $30 thereabouts, right? And it moved $35 into this space. Again, would not be surprised if it came in and hit the halfway mark. So the question is, how do you want to position? Once again, I would say the following. I would not take anything past December but you could easily use both sides to take a position. And so if we expected to get, did I say 320? I have a head like a sieve. 330, 320, 330. Okay. So we could do a butterfly event, 330, 320, 310, that's 31 cents. And then we expect it to run back to the peak at 400, but we've already moved almost halfway. What's the low here? 351 to 400, that's 50. So 375 to 380, that's where we'll put that leg. Let's see. And look at that. That's where everybody's sitting. 370. Somebody's bought the spread here, just like us. Yep. If you buy the spread by yourself, it's 333. If you buy the butterfly and take it into 390, it's $1.05. My thought process right now is that bounces in gold are going to sell until we get down into a space where we saw a lot of heavy congestion. And so to me, that breakaway formation is in this box right here between 326 and 340. And so this is because it just ran straight up. So the first thing is first, it's going to bounce and then fade again, or fade and then bounce. Whichever direction it moves in is the direction to watch, essentially, in terms of taking your position off. And if it starts moving again in the other direction, you could easily put that position back on. It does not have a ton of strength, seasonality speaking. So my thought is any kind of big move because they're chasing, just get in and then get out. So I really like that gold position.
Okay, real quick, I want to answer this question here from the viewer. Edward is saying, hi, Anne-Marie, why do you do butterflies? I still get confused on why this is a good strategy.
Okay, so that's a really good question. And a lot of folks say, hey, I don't really like butterflies because it's an essentially non-directional trade, right? This is a trade that says, hey, it could move up, it could move down, whatever. My thought is always, how can I use other people's money to leverage myself into a position where I might make more? So if you said, hey, I'm buying a vertical, let's say you're thinking to yourself, hey, I see 40,000 in open interest there. I'm going to buy that 390. Should see a bunch here at 400. I'll buy that 390, 400 vertical, and it'll cost me $154. Absolutely. This could be, if gold continues to fall, volatility will crush in here. You could get up tomorrow. This would be worth 52 cents. Literally. If it holds in a butterfly, the goal is let it get to the middle strike and then get out of Dodge. So instead of positioning, notice if you would have bought a 370, 380, $370 to $380 spread, it's going to cost you 3 times as much. Now, if it moves in one direction, awesome. You're in great shape. If it doesn't, you're at risk of losing that entire amount. You've got theta decay that, why is my theta not up here? Here we go. You've got theta decay that is $9 a day, essentially. $9 a day for this price action event if price does nothing. And so my goal with the butterfly is say, hey, can I leverage a credit and then still position myself open for upside pressure, knowing that I wanted to get to the middle strike and then I get out. That's why my Sandisk butterfly worked as well as it did. Did that answer the question, do you think, Ryan?
I think so. It basically what you're saying here is you're controlling your risk by choosing a butterfly over a spread or calls, or I guess puts here, because we can do them in both directions.
Yes.
Ed, let me know if that answers your question. You were the one that asked. It's basically risk control is the TLDR, to borrow that. The TLDR of that is she's controlling her risk by using a butterfly over simply calls or call spread.
Yeah.
Okay. That did answer his question. Great. Good stuff there. Okay. We did have some other suggestions here.
Let's do it.
They suggested TMQ. This is a little guy, so I don't know if this is going to be any good. We can give it a try, though. Nothing personal, Moses. It's just I'm not sure this is going to make for a good trade here.
Whoa.
Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see.
This is not good. When a candle formation does this, that's very bad. That's never a good sign. Just put this one in your mental study things of when I see this and I'm looking to buy, say to yourself, don't do it. Right? I promise it's not a good thing. So if you're saying to yourself, hey, but could it be a good thing at some juncture? Let's see what the fall is incredible. Okay, so let's say you want to get involved in this stock, but you don't want to pay an exorbitant amount. You could just sell the 5 puts and say, listen, I want you to go ahead and fill me. Actually, these things are so juiced. You could say, listen, I'll sell the 6 put. I'll still get it for $4.50 if you're planning on sitting there for a while, right? You could go outright. You could buy the stock, right, at $4.94, and you could, you could sell a call against it, but I wouldn't. It's a $5 stock. If it's going to move up, it's probably going to move up significantly. But here's what's happened. It was $11 and some change 3 weeks ago. So you don't want price action to, one, lose 50% of the range. If it loses 50% of the range, it's going to go to the next big candle and work on that 50%. And so where is that sitting? That's where they're battling right now. If they cannot hold 5, they are going to go back to $2.50. So I wouldn't touch that with Bill Gates money.
That's saying something. Can you go back over to that trade tab real quick so we can see what the option pricing is here?
Yeah.
So if you're thinking that if it breaks that, it's probably going to $2.
Yep.
I mean, taking a stab at the 250 calls at a dime. 250 puts at a dime.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I mean, that's a dime.
That's not bad. Yeah, that's not bad.
And you might even be able to get filled at the midpoint there. You might really have a cheap kind of a lotto ticket on your hand.
Yeah, definitely. So, currently, let's see what the volume looks like. Where are they positioning? Right? Open interest is still A bunch.
See-
2 people have bought this one, so
Yeah, see,
you could get it. You could get it. The right to sell, though. So it's almost if you want the right to sell at 250, you're hoping that this thing goes to zero. It's more of, hey, if it bounces, can I get it? What might be good is if you put out a stink bid at, I don't know, 50 cents into December for the 250 calls. See if you can get that, right? I'll put an eye out for that.
Okay.
I'll put an alert on that
Okay.
one. But yeah, I don't like this price action at all. It bodes poorly for the stock. Even though the volume is drifting down, it's got some room to run. So
okay.
I'd be careful.
Real quickly here, we actually do not have Paul Meeks after us, so we can go another minute or two over here if you like, Anne-Marie. And James is here every time we do a show. And I skipped over the 2 that he wanted to take a look at. So I'll let you choose here. He suggested Spot or App. Both of them have reports next week. Why don't you pick one and we'll do that real quick.
Spot just ticked. I think they're only like 3 or 4% from their absolute highs, right? So let's do this one. It's got pretty good seasonality, right? A breakaway. It's got a little trouble somewhere around the 1st of December. I'm still working with this particular come on, Fred. I am still working with this indicator to see how strong it is. And so it says there's a dip round in about December, but a pretty good rise on the horizon. And, a lot of people are doing the Spotify thing every day.
I'm a paid customer.
Right? And so this is the range they've been in. 600 to 750 thereabouts, so it's $150. When it breaks, it's going to be a pretty interesting break to the tune of about $150 in my mind, since they've been holding that range for February, and then recapturing it after the April dip, and they've been sitting there the entire time. So what we notice is earnings keeps us in this range thus far. So if it fades, it could easily bounce back up into this range. So let's take a look at all the different ways that we can trade this. One, if we're flat out bullish, then we're going to look for the halfway point at 700 to 750.
725.
Yeah, that works good. Goodish.
Goodly.
Yeah. So we'll take it in December because of the vol. Will be a little bit cheaper, but you want to put an alert that says, hey, I need to close this by the 1st if seasonality is going to be a problem. So a couple of people in here, right? Thin. So probably not going to get a butterfly, right? But if you're thinking, hey, this could move pretty well, if it were me, I would say I'm going to buy the 700 and I'm going to sell 2 of the 720s. Now, that does require $10,000 of margin. So if you're like, I don't want to do that, what are you talking about? Then you could say, this is where the call wall is, up here at 740. Isn't that interesting? You could do the 700, 720, 740, 28 cents. Looks pretty good, 28 cents. You just have to put it out there and then let it see if it'll fill. The chains are very thin. You could go into November to trade it right on the back of its earnings. And if we did that, let's see how the prices change. Here's December. Here's November. It's a little cheaper. And it's about the same. Oops. And it's almost 3.5 times more expensive on the call side for the butterfly in November. So that would be what I would say.
Okay.
You know, of my goal is always, how can I use OPM? I'm always thinking
Other
about
people's money.
OPM. And so if I can use that, and my commitment is, you know, where it's at, I can get a $1,300 credit. The chart could do nothing. It could move $80, which is what they're thinking about here. It could significantly move, and I would still make a boatload of cash. It just doesn't need to move too far out into the positive range, up above 720. I still have $2,000 of premium here, along with the $1,300 I made by positioning myself into the space. So I have a lot of room to be wrong.
Okay. All right, Anne-Marie, really good stuff again. Let's see how the rest of this week shakes out. We'll be back on Friday for some more.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much for everything. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. We'll check in with you on Friday.
You take care.
All right. That is Anne-Marie, folks. And that is it for us here today. Another really good show here. Great stuff from everybody. Thank you all for the support and also smashing up that like. We appreciate it. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. We'll do it again.